Good morning, my Teaserking family. I hope everybody's good. We had another lock last night, TCU Georgia over. I had bet it at 60 over 54. It went to 62, it went to 63, and it still went over by a mile, so 65 to 7 or something like that. Beautiful game. This one, 65-7 Georgia. So 72. And all we need was that. So we had it initially, Kansas. Oh, no, that's with Georgia. That was the week before. So we had it in two locks. We had it once with Green Bay over, which lost, and we had it with Seattle even, which won. So we hit 2 out of the 3 locks. We hit Seattle, lock. We lose Green Bay over, lock. We hit TCU Georgia over, lock, national championship game. I was talking with our friend Nick, and we were talking about he brought up, we're playing Georgia under, and it won like 20 times out of 20, and then we lose one. And he says, well, when are we going to start playing Georgia instead of Georgia under? And what creates you to play a Georgia versus a Georgia under is strictly they have a great defense and not a great offense, so they're not going to score a lot in the game. So then what changed? So the offense starts getting better. So I noticed that. So I'm still betting the under. I hit the under in the Tennessee. Well, I hit them against Tennessee, I think. Or no, I had the game under. I don't remember. I know I won with the Georgia-Tennessee game. Then we have Georgia-Florida under because Richardson sucks. I know there's not going to be a lot of points. They ended up with points, but it stayed under. So Georgia under, but Georgia scoring more. So then we watched Georgia LSU, and they put up 50 points against, I don't know if LSU's got a good defense or not. I don't think so. But I'm noticing Georgia's score. So now, instead of betting Georgia under, what did we do yesterday? We bet Georgia over. Well, why do we do that? How do we know to change? And that's where I think the most important thing is you keep an open mind and you just use your common sense and your intelligence and the way you break a game down, the way you analyze the game. That's what you need to do. So from that standpoint, I go, well, shit, Georgia's scoring. I know TCU's explosive. So I switched Georgia under to Georgia even against Ohio State to Georgia over in the championship game. And that's what you're looking at. TCU was an over team, Oak State, Baylor, Oregon, USC, UCLA, Utah. They were all over teams because they all could score a lot. And the defenses weren't bad, but there's no way you were stopping USC or UCLA or Oregon from scoring a ton of points. And that's basically learning the team, but then catching on to the change. The first week, what happened? Georgia beat Oregon 49-3. We had it under. We won. It was in probably the mid-50s. And so we noticed, wait, Oregon starts scoring. So we went from Oregon sucks to Oregon's an over team. And that's what you need to do. We do it in the pros. What happens? San Francisco, they were an under team, but here comes Brock Purdy. Now they're an A team. They're not an under team. We got Dallas, Cooper Rush. They're an under team. They don't score a lot, but they got a great defense turned into Prescott, who sucks. Now it goes over team. Right now they score a lot and they give up a lot because they're not resting their defense. And Prescott turns it over. And when you give up pick sixes, you don't have that. So what we do is what my skill is analyzing the talent. I can see Brock Purdy. I know him from Iowa State. He's a very good quarterback on a team that was conservative at Iowa State. They weren't really an over team, but I could see he was a good quarterback. I wasn't expecting this good in the Niners, but I wasn't expecting him to be bad like Tagliabue or somebody. Tagliafield and Lawrence, I watch in college and see how they choke in the big games. Now, did Duggan choke against Georgia yesterday? Well, they had a good game against Michigan, but I have to watch the highlights. I didn't watch the game. So I got to see if Duggan's a very good quarterback when he gets drafted or plays in the NFL, or are we going to bet on him? And that's what I do. And I know Montana from Notre Dame, and I know Darnold sucked at USC, and I would bet on Spencer Sanders, although I think psychologically there's nothing wrong with the guy. I like this Stenson Bennett. I think he'll be a very good pro, better than most that's out there, than Peterman and all the other idiots that played Davis Mills. I mean, this guy's 10 times better than that. So what do you need for an A team? You need a good quarterback, good defense. An over team, you get that really good quarterback and then not a good defense. So the over team is Buffalo. Their defense isn't that good without Von Miller, but their quarterback's their offense is very good. So they score a lot, give up a lot, as they did against New England. KC's an over team. But then Cincinnati's an A team because they have a good defense and the quarterback. They're the best team right now, Cincinnati. Good morning, 7-out man. TCU found out what it's like to play with the big boys, just like Kansas State did. I'm not sure about Kansas State. Where was Alabama all year? If Alabama was a big boy, they lost 2 and they barely beat Texas. So I'm not going to go there with Alabama. I'm not sure what happened in the Kansas State game. TCU, I don't know. They killed Michigan, and Michigan was a big boy. Georgia's just different. Georgia, very powerful and finesse. And as I've stated, I think Georgia would beat half the NFL teams. I bet you if you put them in the playoffs now, they'd beat Tampa, Dallas, Baltimore, the Giants, Minnesota, Miami, Jacksonville, and Seattle. I bet you Georgia would beat all those teams. Georgia would be a 12-win team in the NFL. That's what you're dealing with. Very good talent. Look at DeAndre Swift for the Lions. He played at Georgia, and he's always injured. But imagine if they had these, look at Cook on Buffalo. He's Georgia. And what I liked was Georgia's defense, number 7 on Green Bay, the guy on Philly, the guy on Jacksonville, the other guy in Green Bay. These guys are studs in the NFL. So not surprising. These are NFL talent you got. I'm not surprised. No, the Big 12's not sorry. The Big 10's sorry, not the Big 12. Big 10 was 2-7 in the bowl games. Well, exactly. The Big 10 sucked this year. I'm not going to we're just saying what it is. Big 12 is a lot better than the Big 10. They had a lot of good teams. Oak State didn't play their players. Texas, their players sat out. So you can't really look at bowl games as a judge, because if the players are sitting out, what are you going to do with it? Big 10 was 5-4. Well, yeah, again, they sat out players in the Big 10. Did they really go 5-4? I can't believe they had 9, but it's a totally irrelevant stat you're telling me because of the players sitting out. All I know is Georgia's the best team, and as I said, they'd beat half the pro teams. TCU is a very good team. I picked up TCU, and they killed Oklahoma. I said, wow, this team's got a great offense. The defense wasn't bad. They ran the table. I took them every time they were a dog. But I laid away from them because I didn't want to fuck with Georgia yesterday. That's why I took the game over. And that was a beautiful play. I saw, what was it, 31-7.5. I go, I need 54. A couple of big bets, and there you go. So playing Georgia properly, not going under with the game. As I said, I switched from under to over. But your stats are meaningless, 7-out man. It doesn't matter in the bowl games because, the players aren't even trying. They're not playing. Michigan and Ohio State tried and both got beat. Georgia, TCU beat Michigan. So, it is what it is. They beat them pretty badly. And nobody had done that to Michigan, although Michigan had such a weak schedule, I can't even count it. But I'm not sure where you're going with it, big 7-man out. Yeah, we know Georgia's the best team. None argument. No, I gave out the over in the game. Check the films. But if you're here to get me, you can't. The free pick was TCU over, and it won. So if you're here to say, aha, you picked a loser, you're knocking at the wrong door. Check yesterday. I gave free pick. TCU over 62. I told you about it. I don't, we all give a few losers. So I got an interesting email from one of our classmates, and he spends $295 to get the bets of the sharps and the public. I immediately laughed and told him to stop wasting his money. First of all, I'm a sharp. Now, let's define sharp. To be considered a sharp sports bettor, you need to win roughly 55% of your bets or more. I'm in the 75% range. The sharpest pros in the world hit 60%, and very few ever exceed 65. That's what I keep trying to tell you. We're in rarefied air here. And I give you all most of my detail on the picks, so you have all that on video. This means pros are losing 40 to 45% of their bets. However, this still means they're winning more than they lose. Why am I giving you that? Because this guy's paying some service. How he knows who's a sharp and who's a regular bettor, I have no idea. I don't sit there and make my bet and go, I'm a sharp and check a box. I mean, that's ridiculous. To pay to see what the sharp is not necessarily just look at the line movement. The line movement is the price, right? So if the line yesterday went from 14 to 12 and a half, and I guess back to 13, was that the sharps betting Georgia minus 13? Good luck with that. Now, were the sharps, the over went from 60 to 62 and a half, then I saw 61 and a half. So did the sharps bet the under yesterday? They got their ass kicked if they did. So does that mean the sharps bet it or the public bet it? How do you know? Why would you pay for this information that, if you just look at the line, is already there? So I'm really confused why anybody in their right mind would pay for line movements when the line movements are there and the line movements don't mean anything. So the over went from 60 to 62 and a half, then down to 61 and a half. How do you know what bets were the sharps? Now, you know me, I'm a sharp because I tell you and I show you and I give you the picks. I'm on the over. So if the over went from 72 to 71, was that the sharps last night? Well, they lost. So you just lost your money on the 250. So that's already confusing enough that somebody would actually give somebody money to find out what the sharps are betting when you have access to a sharp. If you don't believe me, then don't believe me. I give you the picks. I gave you TCU. I gave you Seattle. We lost Packers over. Okay. We lose 45%. I lose about 25% of my picks, but that's okay. Second thing is, if you want my picks, it's 20%. I don't like feeling I'm getting taken advantage of when somebody says, what's your thoughts here? When I'm giving you my thoughts on the game. So we'll go through the playoffs. I give you my thoughts. But what really I scratch my head is when you don't take my picks. So if you took TCU over, if you took TCU in 20 instead of the over, what are you doing here? I don't understand. I'm giving you over. It's a free pick. It's really a lock, but it's a free pick. I want you to make money, and you don't bet it. What are you doing here? Are you listening to me, or are you just here, but you're going to make your own picks? Now I get into making your own picks, which is sort of the title of this, is the psychology So you come on a site with a sharp to make your own picks, to not listen to the sharp, to lose on your own, and then to ask the sharp for who do I like here? Do you like my picks? And by the way, I'm taking what the sharps are betting and picking them. So I asked, well, how do you make your picks? I didn't get an answer. The guy says, well, I just look at the way the public's betting and the way the sharps betting and power rankings. How the fuck do you get power rankings? There's no such thing as power rankings. You can't. If I were to rank the playoffs, I would say Frisco and Seattle or Cincinnati are the best two teams. Then maybe you got Buffalo, KC, and Philly. And then at the bottom are Seattle, San Diego, Jacksonville, Miami's terrible, the Giants in Minnesota, Baltimore, Dallas, and Tampa Bay. They're all terrible teams. But how does that make you pick the games? How do you pick a game without understanding the team, the offense, the defense, the quarterback, the coach, the matchups? How do you pick winners without that? So what are you doing? You're taking what other people are betting and following them, assuming they know what they're talking about, which we know me and about 10 people understand how to bet and know what we're talking about. But the guy that can do it, me, you're not even listening to. So it's hysterical. So I'm thinking, why are you doing this? Why are you in class and then not listening to the teacher or the professor in this case? Your thought of picking the games is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I've been doing this my whole life. There's nothing there that I would say, oh, you bet with the line. I know guys in Vegas that bet against the line. Oh, the line goes from 6 to 8. They take the dog because the line moved up. And if it goes from 6 to 4, they lay the 4 because the line moved down. He doesn't like taking favorites. Well, look at Georgia yesterday. They won. You think favorites don't win? Favorites win all the time. Buffalo, Cincinnati last weekend, they won. So I don't really understand that. Minnesota beat the Bears. So then I get into people. You have access to a teacher, a professor who's been doing this a long time, who shows you his picks. So I'm showing you. I don't need to go through every game and get, what's the point? If you're not going to listen to it, then I won't go through them all. And then you go against me, really confuses me. Then I'm like, what are you doing? So you know better than me is what you're saying. And so he's all like, oh, I'm gonna have my own site. Well, if you don't pick winners, ain't nobody gonna listen to you. The only reason I get people is because I'm smart. I know what I'm talking about. I pick winners. I make you money, and I talk to you about other subjects besides just football. But you watch me because I said take the over in the TCU Georgia game, and it goes over. So I made everybody money who watched the video, who listened, who said, yeah, professor said it, I'm betting it. I know I got clients that bet the game, and they won because I got emails, and they're all happy. So, you start asking yourself, so why do you not listen to people? So really, the question psychology. We need to feel free that we're making our own decisions. And maybe you listen to me for input of how to arrive at your decision. But if I sit there and tell you to take Buffalo over Miami, and then you bet Miami, now I got a real, what are you doing? I don't just say take Buffalo. I'll take the over or the under, or if I tell you to take Cincy over Baltimore and that's your free pick, and you bet Baltimore, now I gotta really ask myself, well, why? What am I missing here? What are we missing here? why aren't you listening to what I'm saying? And why are you making your own pick without any, simply because maybe the line moved or the betting's going on this thing. So you're basically a sheep following what's happening, or maybe you're converse. And if the betting's going one way, you're going the other. Either way, it's a stupid way to bet, because it makes no sense. So if the stock market's going down, you're going to take it. And if it's going up, you're going to go down. If Coca-Cola goes from 40 to 42, you're going to sell. But if it goes down to 38, you're going to buy. You're going to lose a lot of money doing things that way. But again, the question is why in God's name are you doing it like that? You know better. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Then this is YouTube. Go do your show. I don't know what you're doing here, or are you listening? You're obviously not listening. So you're obviously assuming you're smarter than the professor. Okay, that's fine. I didn't say I was the smartest man in the world, but you listen and then you go off on your own picks, but then you want me to validate your picks. So why do you want that? If I don't know what I'm doing, why do you want me to validate them? And if you know so much, why are you listening to me? I don't get it. And you must be up a ton of money. But wait, you lost yesterday because you took TCU in 22 or 23. So you lost, but you'll say you won every pick, but you won't disclose your picks. I'm telling you the picks ahead of time, right? I told you yesterday and all week to take TCU over and take Seattle and take the Packers over. Those are the free picks. I won 2 out of 3. Yep, I lost the Packers over. The Lions, weak defense, good offense. I thought there'd be a higher. Okay, I missed it. I'm not claiming I'm 100%. If I did, I'd be a loser because there's no fucking way I can go 100% betting on people like this. So I'm honest. I tell you what's going on. The best sharps here go 55%. Well, I'm in 75% land easy. And when I get hot, as I've been this year, I'm probably at 80%. Now I'm smart enough to bet teasers because teasers make losers winners, like the Georgia-Ohio State game. Seattle, if I didn't tease it, I would have lost. They were laying 5.5, 6. They were even. They win by 3. I turn a loser into a winner. I didn't turn anything yesterday. Georgia over was the play. It didn't need a teaser. So sometimes it needs a teaser, sometimes it doesn't. But that gets us back to our point. Do people need to pick their own picks in order to justify something? In other words, if I tell you to buy silver, but you don't, and you go buy, you keep your money in the money, you're not listening, you're not getting educated, you're missing the point. Or if I tell you to pick a game, if I tell you to go over in the game, but you don't play the over and you play something else, why? Why is it that you need to pick your game, not the pick you're getting from the sharp when you apparently listen to the sharps to make your bets? Now, so this is a very intense psychological evaluation here of people needing to make their own picks, but not using information that people who have done this, that are professionals at it, you're not listening to, and in fact, you're going against. Now that's that really makes me like, what's going on? Why are you doing that? Why would you, at least take TCU over, but you took TCU. Why would you do that? What is going through your mind that makes you say, no, professor's wrong, the over won't hit, which it did. I'm going to take TCU in the points, but please validate that for me. Well, if you want me to validate, I validated TCU over. So why do people not listen to people? And just in life, your girlfriend, your parents, your friends, if they tell you something, Why do you ignore it, think your way's better? You're wrong. You won't admit you're wrong. And then what are you doing? Now, this guy's paying, I think, $250 or $300 a month to get the line movements, which are right there. If you just go on scores and odds and you refresh, you see the line movements. Okay, so what was the final line on the game yesterday? It went from 14 to 12.5 to 13.5. So what are you going to do with it? Then the over went from 60 to 62.5 to 61.5. What does that tell you? If you would have followed that, you would have taken TCU because it went from 14 to 12.5 to 13, which was down from 14. What would you have done last night? Would you have gone over from 60 to 62.5, or it went from 62.5 to 61? Would you have went under? How about analyzing the game, knowing that both teams are explosive as hell, knowing that both teams are scoring a lot, and making your own analytical decision on what do you think is going to happen in the game, which is what I did. I don't listen to the numbers. I got 60. What's the first thing I tell you? You look at the game and you pick the score. Mr. Bell, how are you, sir? It's their ego. I know it's their ego. I'm trying to get there. So if you have a big ego, thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. I mean, that's why we do a live show. So their ego is sitting there going, I know better than him. Okay, so you know better than everybody. And your ego says, I'm going to pick it right. But what happens, Tony, when you picked it wrong? He had a 3-team teaser where he took TCU, and I told him to take TCU over. Now what happens to his ego? Does his ego, does it even affect his ego, or does he just keep thinking, I know what I'm doing, and the professor doesn't? That's really the question. How many winners do I give you every week? I give you Seattle, I gave you Buffalo, I gave you Cincinnati, I gave you Minnesota, I gave you Pittsburgh, I gave you Tennessee. How many winners did I give you last week? Did he have all the winners? No, I know he didn't. So therefore, what happens to ego? At what point does the person say, you know what? Maybe he knows something. Maybe I should listen to what he's saying. This is a class, right? Versus I know better. Then what are you doing here? This is a class. So you're sitting in a class and you know better than the professor. I'm not saying I'm the smartest professor in the world, but I am a sharp and I do a lot better than 55%, which is documented because you can see all my picks and you can hear all my videos. How many weeks have I gone? 9-1, 8-2, 9-2, college, crushed the bowl. When I was on like a 52-5 run in college the first 6-7 weeks. So at what point do you go, professor knows what he's doing? And at what point do you go, you know what? I know more than him. I'm going to make my own picks. Even though I lose, I'm still going to do what I want. I won't listen to anybody. And that is a severe psychological problem when you know more than everybody else, even when people know more than you, but you won't listen. And what does it take for you? How many games do you need to lose before at least go with me, right? Take TCU over. And if we lose, like the Green Bay Lion game, at least go with me and we lose. Okay, we lose, but we won Seattle and we won TCU over. But to go the other way makes absolutely no sense. Tony, I've been following you for 4 years. You have made me tons of money because I respect the teacher. That's what I'm saying, Tony. If he's a narcissist, it will have no effect. Well, obviously, we think he's a narcissist, right? Not only did he not take TCU over, which I gave you guys, he took TCU. Now, I know not to fuck with Georgia. As 7 Out Man says, they played a real game with the big boys. I know that Georgia's the best team. I'm not fucking with Georgia, right? I took them over Ohio State, but I didn't know if they were going to score, so I didn't play over under. I took Georgia, which won. Then I see Georgia's defense is a little weak. I said, fuck it, let's go over. I know Georgia's going to put up 40 yesterday. I didn't know they'd put up 65, but I knew they'd put up 40. I thought TCU would get 20 as 60. I'm over 54. So I'm glad you make money, Tony, and you're smart enough that when you find somebody that makes sense to you, you go with them. Now, Tony, of course, you can make your own picks, but I would never want to see you not to bet that game over last night. And, here's an easy winner, but you took TCU. You fuck with Georgia. That tells me if you took TCU, you didn't know what you're doing because you don't, as you guys are saying, you don't fuck with Georgia, right? You respect Georgia like I'm respecting Frisco and I'm respecting Cincinnati. I am not fucking with them. I'm going to take Cincinnati Buffalo over or Cincinnati KC over. If Cincy's the dog in either games, I'm betting Cincinnati. They're the best team. They got Burrow, they got Chase, and they got a killer defense. Buffalo has no defense. KC's got no defense. And KC really doesn't have that good of a running game. They got Mahomes, but as we see against a strong defense, Cincinnati's already beat them. Ryan, that was the worst game I've ever seen. Well, no, not if you bet it over, Ryan. It was great. See, that's the beauty of the over. I don't care. I just want points. That's the beauty of the over or the unders, right? Miami and the Jets. We had the game under 37, so under 43. I didn't care who won. I didn't care how sloppy it is. I wanted no points. I was 6-6 late in the fourth quarter. It was a great game for me because I won, and that's what I do. No quarterbacks, good defense on the Jets. You're not going to get points. That's how you analytically figure out what you think is going to happen in the game, not looking at the sharps. I mean, I asked the guy, how do you know the sharp when the sharp bets? Is there a little X? Is there a little check mark that, this is a sharp betting? Who the fuck knows? If I go up to the window at Caesars or William Hill in Vegas, they don't go, wait, are you a sharp? I'm gonna check your bet here. Who the fuck knows? How do you? So this guy's getting scammed, doesn't even understand he's getting scammed because he's paying $300 a month. I'm like, why aren't you just for $500? You get my picks for the year, and you'll actually win money. How are you supposed to win money doing this? And then he comes on and he's in a fantasy saying, I went 13-1 last week. I said, so you picked Washington to beat Dallas. You took Atlanta over Tampa. You took Houston. You took the Giants to beat Philly. You took, maybe you took Buffalo. You took LA to beat Seattle. You took, So I said that never would I have. There's no way in God's name you could have picked those games. I could see you winning on Cincinnati, but you needed a teaser Seattle. So I don't know where he's getting this. He can't prove it. But he's let me get my own website. I go, who's going to go on your website? This is something that takes years. I've been doing this probably for 10 to 12 years. I was married when I started. I've been divorced 11 years. So I've been like 13 years, and it grows. And you got to prove yourself. I got to give you winner. I got to say, take TCU over. And it's better win. Because if it doesn't win and I cost you money, you're going to say, fuck this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's really the proof, and that's the marketing. That I come up here, I give you winners, I make you money. Then you go, yes, I can trust him. And that's what it's all about, is earning your trust that I know what I'm doing and I'm trying to help you out. That's the key to it. So that's what happens. Nice that you commented, Tony. I'm glad that you did, because I don't know who's listening. And, I do a live show, so you guys do comment. Anyway, so I think we've got Some of it, as Tony's explaining, is ego. But I think Tony likes money more than he likes ego. All right. 4 years, and I made him tons of money. He checks his ego at the door, as they say in Ocean's 11, and he goes, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to let him make me money, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So he's smart enough to say, I don't need to pick it. I got the professor to pick for me, and I'm going to just follow him. And that is high intelligence, that he's smart enough to keep an open mind and go, wait a minute, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to follow him. Now, I'm sure Tony makes some of his own picks. I wouldn't want him to go against me. He could, if he really loves the game, once in a while, but I really don't know that he'd want to, if I said TCU over, that he'd come back and say, well, I'm going to bet it under. I would think he'd either bet it over or I don't like it, or maybe he bet Georgia yesterday. Ryan, TCU needed to switch their defense up after the second or third drive. They didn't make any adjustments the whole game. Georgia was clearly the better team, but I thought TCU would put up a fight. Shows you how brilliant Kirby Smart is. Well, I agree with you. Here's the problem with TCU. They run a 3-3-5, which you can run on, which everybody thought Michigan would run on. But apparently they're not smart enough to be able to make adjustments and put up a fourth defensive lineman or something. And maybe against Michigan, they blitzed a lot, which hurt Michigan. But Michigan put up 50 points or 45 points. Should have been 50. They fumbled in the end zone on the one. And they gave TCU 2 pick sixes, which Georgia obviously didn't do. That's why you got to be flexible. This is why I bitch about the defensive and offensive coordinators in the NFL. They're just morons. They are so clueless. How many times do you see 3rd and 15, especially near the end of the half or the game, where they really need to stop them? They don't blitz, and the guy, it could be Trevor Lawrence, and the guy's wide open because they're in a zone, but the guys don't match up. So they let him catch the ball, and then they tackle him. Half the time they let him get out of bounds and keep the clock stopped. It's incredibly bad coaching in the NFL. The only way I would have played the game, I would have blitzed Georgia, but with their power running, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done, because Ohio State didn't stop them either. I don't think you could have stopped Georgia. They have too much power running. They got Bennett, the tight end. The quarterback's outstanding, and he's running. You just have it's nobody really stopped them. Alabama, when they played the year before, they put up a 45 on them. I think Georgia has the system for offense. I don't think anybody. Alabama would not have stopped them yesterday. Look, Alabama couldn't stop Tennessee, and Alabama couldn't stop LSU. And they barely stopped Texas A&M, who didn't even have a quarterback. So I don't know anybody that would have stopped them. My thought was Kansas State had this really strong defense, or Utah were the two that matched up with Georgia. Utah had a very good defense, but I don't think they could have stopped them. The only team that could have was San Francisco. Maybe, and Cincinnati. I think those are the only two that could have stopped them. But there was no way Georgia wasn't getting in the 40s, which is why I bet it over. I didn't know how. I thought TCU would score on them a little bit more because Ohio State scored on them. And I said, and I was asked, where's their defense? And I was like, I don't know where their defense is. It's strange that the defense shuts out Tennessee, who just put up 50 on Alabama. They beat them, pretty bad, and then Florida scored a little bit, and then LSU scored a little bit. And it was like, where is their defense? But fortunately, they did all the scoring for us, so we won the over. That looked like a varsity team playing a boys team. Yeah, exactly. I think if Harrison didn't get hurt, Ohio State would have hung on to beat them. I don't know. I mean, Georgia marched down the field. Ohio State had them without Harrison. They were winning. And then Georgia had to drive the length of the field. 2 nice passes from Bennett, one for like 30 yards and then the touchdown. So they held in there. But give Ohio State credit. They had them by 10 or 14 points but they don't have a defense, so they couldn't stop them. A normal Ohio State team would have beat them, but they didn't. They didn't play defense this year. Ohio State, very weak defense, and it's funny they went out and got this hotshot defensive coordinator. He sucked. I mean, Penn State kind of lit him up. Michigan, we know, lit him up, and then Georgia lit him up. So against the varsity, Ohio State didn't show up. But I don't know if it was Harrison. They had the lead. And then the guy misses a 50-yard kick. That's really it would have been a whole different game if Ohio State beat them. But that kind of scared Georgia. That's why they pounded them so bad, is they said, fuck this. We're not going to get into a close game. We're going to kill them. And that's what happened. They just turned it on and never turned it off and said, we are never going to be in a position where a field goal beats us like we did against Ohio State. TCU is better than Ohio State, and they proved it. They killed Michigan. So TCU is a very good team. I think Kansas State and Utah are the only matchups Georgia would have had trouble with. K-State had a fabulous defense. I have to watch the tape of the Alabama game. I really didn't care about it, but I have to watch that to see how they beat and put up so many points on Kansas State. I'm assuming I assumed it was a bad matchup for Kansas State because Kansas State runs pretty good, and you can't really run on Alabama. So it was a bad matchup for Kansas State getting Alabama, and they knew that. You've got to throw. You've got to have that running quarterback against Alabama. Not kind of an option run team is not going to beat Alabama. So that's what happened there. But Kansas State would have given Georgia. They had the better defense, right? But no, Ohio State had them. If they kick the field goal, they win. So as far as Harrison getting hurt, I don't know. Now I was laughing. I'm looking at like Yahoo, and it says who the Bears should take with the first pick. How stupid's Houston? They win and lose the first pick of the draft, so they can go 3-13 or 3-14. What kind of idiot team is Houston? You get the first pick, and if you want to trade it, you trade it. Now, who are they even going to – they need a quarterback. So I think Houston should draft Cam Rising, but he's actually coming back for another year, which I really don't understand. He should go pro. He's clearly the best quarterback in the draft. I like Stenson Bennett. I'll tell you that. I'd take him over Alabama's quarterback all day long. This guy proved what he did. I mean, fuck. If you don't like Bennett and you don't think he's a pro, you're out of your mind. Ryan, I think Seattle is going to make Purdy look like Mr. Irrelevant this weekend. Okay, why do you think Seattle is going to get a defense all of a sudden? They made Mayfield look pretty good, although they did sack Mayfield like 6 times. What happened to Seattle against the Rams? And I'm watching the guy in the secondary on the Rams, the All-Pro, and I'm like, what the fuck is he even playing for? I thought that was really weird that he was out playing in a very irrelevant game, the whole game. I could see him maybe the first quarter. What was he doing out there? I'm messing with you, Teach King. I just wanted to see your reaction. Well, my reaction. Purdy I like, and I think San Francisco kills Seattle. If Seattle had that much difficulty in a must-win game against the Rams with Baker Mayfield and Cam Akers, okay, what are they going to do against McCaffrey and Purdy and DB Samuel played and that defense? They couldn't handle the Rams defense without Aaron Donald. What are they going to do here? So this is the playoffs. Now, Purdy, yes, he'll be a little nervous. It's his first playoff game, right? But judging by the way he played, I'm not even concerned about Purdy. He's much better than Garoppolo. So this is the problem with the coaches, right? They have Purdy the whole year. They can't recognize his talent. They don't see how good Purdy is, right? He goes with Garoppolo, having Purdy but not playing him, not understanding his talent, not letting him practice, Garoppolo gets hurt. He throws Purdy in not knowing what to expect. And Purdy's, a much better quarterback than Garoppolo. And you look at the coach like, what the fuck are you doing? Didn't you know? It's the same thing with Van Dyke and Rising last year when they don't play at first. There's injuries, and that gets them in, and they're 20 times better than the starter. And you're like, Coach, aren't you watching practice? Doesn't the guy impress you in practice? And that's really what you just scratch your head at the coaches being mostly idiots, that they have to go with the guy who's played with the experience over the guy who's inexperienced, even though the guy who's inexperienced is 20 times better than the guy playing. He reminds me of Tony Romo so far. Oh, no, he's better than Tony Romo. Tony Romo sucked. Tony Romo never won a playoff game, and he always turned the ball over in the key plays, especially on that extra point, right? Dallas is going to beat Seattle. They tie the game, kick the extra point, they win. What does Romo do? He can't put the ball down on the extra point, and the guy can't kick it. That's Tony Romo. He's a choke. I don't get Purdy as a choke. I get him as a winner. Like I said, he looked good at Iowa State. I mean, that's all you can go by. But this year, you got so many good quarterbacks. Now, I don't know if they're all coming out. I don't think Van Dyke's coming out, and I don't think Rising's coming out. He's going to play his 6th year. I didn't know he was there. So he didn't play for 3 years, and then he finally plays last year and this year. Jesus, what have they been doing with this guy? Hey, Greg John, that game was horrible. Yeah, but we won. So we only care if we win the money. We don't care the texture of the game. Yeah, I mean, Georgia said we're not losing like we almost did to Ohio State, and they pounded them. But we had the over, so we don't care. That was the bet. It won. Off we go. So, again, I don't care. Let's say we got Frisco. We tease it to 4 against Seattle, and they win 59-0. Do we really care it was a bad game, or do we care that we won and we made money? We care we won and made money. We don't care what the game looks like. We care that we won, and that's the whole key to it. So anyway, back to the psychology thing of more than the other person. I think it all comes back to being smart enough to have an open mind. I have an open mind. If somebody comes up and tells me something and I can make sense of it, I make sense. I go, yeah, that's a good idea, and I'll accept it. Because I have a master's in economics, I had an open mind learning about gold and silver and inflation and everything, and I read it to you. If I didn't have an open mind, I wouldn't understand it. I wouldn't explain it to you, and we wouldn't be buying gold and silver. So I had an open mind when I had the right teacher, right? So maybe I'm not the right teacher for this guy, but I had an open mind. I learned what it is, and it made sense to me. So maybe I need to teach it so it makes sense to you guys. I think most of you get me. But when you don't listen, and I don't know if you're trying to prove yourself to me, I don't care as far as proving yourself to me. I don't need you to say, I won with this bet. I don't care. I'm happy if you won. If you're smart, you'll take my picks, and maybe I don't like the over yesterday. Maybe you took Georgia, but I don't need you to tell me you took TCU yesterday and lost, or you won with the Lions or whatever. I don't care. That's fine. That's not who I like, because I'm picking the game to get the winner. So I'm analyzing the aspects of the game. So that's what I tell you to do, is analyze it. And then you can pick the game, and then you at least, that's why I say, don't just give me your pick. You got to explain it. And I'm really keeping an open mind going, maybe I can use it. But when this guy says his theory of betting is to look at the sharps and the money bet and which way the bet's going, that's not. Now, I've been doing this my whole life. I would never use that as a way to pick, and I would never tell you guys to use it. And I would never use it in an argument to make a bet. I would never. What did I tell you at 60? I said, take TCU, Georgia over. And I says, it's probably going to go to 65. It went to 62.5 and 63.5. I was in on it at 60. I didn't follow the leader. Now it's 63. Let's go over. I was reverse. I said, no, at 60, it's going to be a high scoring game. Bet it now before it goes up. This guy's going in reverse. This guy's waiting to see all the action, losing 3-4 points on the line, following a bunch of chuckleheads who do not know what they're talking about, and off they go. So this is definitely a problem. This is definitely a problem of why would you go backwards? And that's what it is. This affects them in life as well, Teaser King. Having an open mind will make you successful in life. Your ego is not your amigo. Exactly, Tony. And I think you really nailed it, because if I'm giving you winners and you're not betting them and you're betting your own, how successful are you going to be? I go into depth. I've been doing this my whole life, and I think you guys know I when I make a bet, we go through tremendous detail of why I like the game. Why did I like the over yesterday? Because TCU scores a lot. Georgia, you can't stop. Ohio State got 40 on them. Michigan got 40. So I know there's no defense being played in the game, and they both are explosive offenses. That's the reason to bet the game over, and that's what happens. And they went way over. And you've got to be able to understand the details and to make the bet. Why would you buy this stock? Why are you buying gold and silver? Well, I get into the detail and I explain it. Now it's up to you to understand it or ask questions. I don't get it. But then to, make up your mind that what I'm saying makes sense. And that's really the key to life, as you said. So what does he do with the girl? So you're married or you got a girlfriend and she says, I want to do this. Do you say, no, I'm not going to do it? And then you piss off the girl, and then you end up where you don't have a girlfriend because you pissed them off. I mean, I guess, who do you listen to in life? If you can't listen to a teacher about what I teach, who do you listen to? Or do you know everything, I guess? So I think that's the point. I'm just trying to pound this point in because I think people need to understand it. Even I listen to other people. Now, you better come really strong if it's about gold and silver or football, because I know everything there is to know about it, but I will listen to you. So if you came up with, if your angle is I'm looking at the sharp betting, my answer is going to be, how the fuck do you know when the sharp guy's betting? How do you know that? Are they, well, I'm a sharp, I'm betting $1 million. Is it by bet size? Do you think the sharps bet like that? You're out of your mind. They don't. I don't bet $1 million games. If I did, I'd bet like 100 grand here and 100 grand there. I would never self-identify myself with $1 million bet. Anyway, so that's kind of what it is. I keep an open mind. That's how I learned economics and gold. How do you think I learned this? I kept digging in and analyzing and analyzing. Now, there's not a lot of people to listen to here. This is a very unique subject, handicapping football games. But I do use this for my poker, as I've discussed when we talk poker. I watch the Daniel Negreanos and these people who give their poker classes on YouTube, and I go, that doesn't make sense to me. So I listen, and maybe it makes sense and maybe it doesn't. But I will listen, and if I can catch something. But mostly it's me looking at, like you're saying, Tony, the ego at the poker table where the guy thinks. I've had one guy, I played for 20 minutes, and I got 2-9 for 10 hands in a row, and I fold them. And one guy had the nerve to me at Caesar's Palace to say, well, I know how you play. And I just laughed. I said, how the fuck can you know how I play? First of all, I haven't gotten a hand. So I fold 2-9. Okay. Wow, what a discovery. I'm scared you're going to beat me. I just looked at him like, you don't have a clue how I play. You can sit with me for days and not have a clue, because I can switch and play 12 different ways. I was playing with a professional who I had saw on TV at Caesars a couple of years ago, and I was teaching him. He made a small bet. I think he had 2 pair, and there was a flush draw on the board. And I look at them and I go, you made too small of a bet. They flushed on you. And I says, you need to make a bigger bet. You need to protect your hand against the flush draw. And he did not, he understood it after I told him, but I had to tell him for him to understand it. I was shocked because I've seen this guy with Doyle Brunson on TV, and you would have thought, oh, he's a pro. And yet he was clueless to the protection that you have in a hand. In other words, if I flop 2 pair and there's 3 clubs on board, I am going all in because I don't want you to catch the flush. Or let's say there's 2 clubs on board. So let's say there's 8, 9, and 2 clubs, and I got 2 pair. You're going to have to go all in to see your flush or your straight. I am not letting you buy it cheap. I'm going to go all in, and you're going to fold because it's not worth, the odds aren't worth it to you to see it. And I don't want you seeing another card because I've got you beat. But if another club, then I'm fucked and you win. So I am going to be very careful. That's how I learned. Now, if you have a better way, I will certainly listen to it. If I'm sitting with Doyle Brunson at a table, I'm going to be asking him questions, going, what do you do here and there? And trying to learn. You got to know who you learn from and who you don't. And I think that's what my whole point here is. If I've been doing this for years and giving you winners and making Tony money and everybody else money, and then you kind of do your own thing, I really am like, why, what is it? But I think it's just, I taught my daughter, as I told you, like she played fast pitch softball and I was the coach. I taught pitching, and then I saw the one girl who didn't know how to hit because she was watching the bat and not the ball. And so a simple thing like try keeping your eye on the ball, not the bat, and then she started hitting. So it's stuff like that you pick up and try to teach. But it taught me to get down to I've got to get the audience to understand what I'm trying to teach them. That I think is the most important thing here. So when I try to teach you football, I'm trying to teach you what to look for in making your picks. Now, of course, I'm going to give picks and you can agree or disagree. I wouldn't think you'd go against me. I think you either take my pick or you don't bet you don't like it. Maybe once in a while, if you have a good, strong reasoning. I always bet the Jets, or I'm from New York, so you're going to bet, okay, that's fine. I don't want to control you and tell you this is what you're betting. But I do have a lot of people who buy my picks, and I'm giving them my picks, and that's what they're betting. They basically are, who are you picking? And I give them, take this, this, and this. They bet it exactly. They give me the pitcher, and I get 20% when we win, which is quite a bit. So, that's what I'm expecting. Not to ignore me and go like totally a different direction because you know more. Anyway, I think we've hit that to death, but that is a fascinating thing. So I think when we talk gold and silver, or when you guys talk about subjects that maybe it's women, maybe it's football, or whatever it is you guys do, if you're in IT or you're in finance or economics or whatever it is, and you get frustrated because you're trying to tell your boss or a coworker or even your spouse or your friend, your brother, and you get frustrated, right? I remember telling my brother about economics, and it'd be so frustrating because he'd never listen to me. And I'd like, what the fuck? Does he think I'm just making this up? I mean, I'm in a class, I'm in a master's class. This is what I'm being taught. I'm telling you what I'm being taught by the teacher. So it's frustrating because you're expecting them to just go, wow, that makes great sense. That's a good point, da, 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 da. So you're expecting your ego to get brushed by whoever you're talking to. And I'm sure this causes a lot of fights with spouses and girlfriends and family members. This is probably the number one thing. You know something, you tell somebody something, they don't listen to you, which pisses you off. And then it happens. So you might be watching it with your spouse yesterday, and I got TCU over. The professor gave it to me, and the game goes over. And what are you doing? When the game goes over, what do? You go to your spouse or your family, and you go, look, I told you. And like you're trying to get the light one on. Now, this happened to me, a quick story, when I was My dad was still alive. Now, he died in 1997, and we would watch football together, which really got me into it since mid-60s. So we watched Joe Namath together, and Sunday afternoon, we'd go to my grandpa's, and me and my dad would watch football. So we're watching football, and then as I get older, I get into it and into the betting, and then he tells me about teasers. So there was a game that Miami played Oklahoma in a national title game in the Orange Bowl, probably early 90s. And my dad bet Oklahoma and I bet Miami. And it was a Michael Irvin game, right? Michael Irvin caught the touchdown to win it like 17-14. I had Miami in 7 or 8 points. I teased it from like 3 to 9, let's say, or 7 to 30, whatever it was. I teased Miami. A, they were a home dog, and B, they had Michael Irvin. And he bet Oklahoma. And at the end, it's a close game. They throw it. Michael Irvin catches the touchdown. Miami wins. I'm all happy I won. My dad's not happy he lost. And his wife, so it's my stepmother, she goes and says, why didn't we bet what Howard bet? Like, why didn't we listen to him? And that kind of got me like, exactly what, I guess you don't think I know what I'm doing. And I think that's also an ego, a blow to your ego, that when people don't respect you or don't at least listen to you and maybe analyze with you, why are you playing that? Again, it's the person making their own bet because they need to make their own bet. They need to prove they're right, even if you're right, and they can't accept. And of course, they don't say good pick. I was in Georgia. I was in Alabama, as I told you, last year, and I had Georgia beating Alabama in the championship game, and I told everybody at work, and they're all Alabama fans, and I loved it. And I'm rubbing the needle in, going, Georgia's going to win, Georgia's going to win, and Georgia wins. Not one person said good bet. Not one person said, wow, that was a great play. How did you know? Not one person. They were all crying Alabama lost. And I'm rubbing it in, going, fuck you. I told you Georgia was going to beat them. They're the better team. So there's all these moments, and it's really, from our side, how do you deal with it, right? How do you deal with, we're right, you didn't listen to me? And that's a hard thing to do, or your girlfriend or your family, your spouse, your brothers, So it's a hard thing when you know it. You tell it, they don't listen to you, and maybe they lose, or maybe they just didn't play it, and you're right. So it's a very difficult thing. I'll work on that. But anyway, let's go through the playoffs. So a sharp bettor need to win roughly 55%. So I'm like a super sharp. I think I'm in the top 1%. Like I said, there's maybe 25 people in the world that are at our level here, that are at my level, maybe at the most. I don't think anybody really understands it the way we understand it. All right, let's go to the line. I'm not going to the sharp line or this line or that line. I'm going to the fucking line because I want to catch it up front. How many times do I tell you we bet the totals on Monday for Sunday, right? Because we want to get them in before they move. Well, that's the sharp. The sharp would not wait until kickoff to make the bet. He would see the line and make the bet ahead of time. And I think that's what happens a lot, where the sharp, they put the line out on Sunday, which is a phony line for the sharps. So you get all the information you need to know. Instead of paying $295 a month, all you got to do is look at the Sunday line and look at the Monday line, and you already know what the sharps have done. So let's go in. So we've got Frisco 10, 42.5. The line has not moved. This is for the 4:30 game Saturday. The night game Saturday. Why is this the night game? San Diego and Jacksonville. Jacksonville 1.5, 47.5. Again, I love San Diego here. I don't understand why they're favored, but I kind of do. They're the better team, but I kind of wish Jacksonville was favored. My Buffalo 10.5, 44.5. This has gone up from 43 to 44. Keep your eye on Tagliavua. If Tagliavua plays, this is a great over bet. I would not bet Buffalo. First of all, I wouldn't bet Miami. Buffalo's playing for the injured guy. All right. Did New England play for Stingley when he got paralyzed? I doubt it. So Buffalo, they're making a big deal about this number 3. They didn't really look all that good. They had to get 2 kickoff returns to really beat New England. And they gave up New England a lot of points. So this is all going to come to Miami's quarterback. Tagliavua, we bet it over, but I doubt he's going to play the whole game with his concussions. And then if it's Bridgewater, maybe you get a little bit more. But if it's Bridgewater or the other guy, we're definitely taking Buffalo. It's a playoff game. They need it, of course. Minnesota 3, 48.5, up from 47. We've got Minnesota, who we know is an over team, no defense. They gave up 13 points to Peterman last week. The Giants, okay, Sims will play. Very disappointed. They laid down last week. I don't see they have any chance of winning. At least Minnesota played. The Giants laid down. You can't just turn it on. As Bobby has said, your rhythm and timing are all off. Sims ain't going to just come in. Not that Sims is any good, and all he does is run most of the time anyway. So not a big deal. Cincy 6.5, 43. Now, this is ridiculous. This will probably be the free play. Take Cincy down to a half. This is a joke. Too much on Baltimore. Maybe Lamar Jackson's playing, but really he hasn't played in 10 weeks. He's going to be sharp against Cincinnati. Really. And Dallas 2.5, 45.5. Not sure what you have here. I'm not really sure why Dallas is favored. Yes, Tampa Bay has played like crap. I get that. Let's go into the injuries. Tampa Bay's played bad, but they did beat Carolina when they were down, which was good. So they did win the game they needed to win. Let's see. But Tom Brady is a home dog against Dallas, against Prescott. I really like Tampa Bay here. This is a dog game. Dallas cannot be a road favorite with Prescott. He's terrible. I mean, he's got so many. We'll get into his stats in a minute. So many interceptions that are pick six. Tampa's going to come and play. Brady is going to play. Jones will play. The receivers are going to be there. Fournette's going to be there. What does Dallas really have? I mean, they've already beat Dallas a couple times now. Tampa beat them earlier this year, beat them last year. They got their number. McCarthy, horrible. So you got a bad coach. You got a bad quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott's good with Pollard. You've got a great defense, I thought, who gives up a lot of points. How they lose to Washington 26-7, I don't know. The refs will look out for Brady. We know that also. Well, there you go. The question is, does TV want Tom Brady in the Super Bowl again? Or do they want Dallas? Well, we know they don't want Dallas. So that also is a factor, is Tom Brady, they want him in the Super Bowl because they're going to milk the hell out of it. So I think Dallas or Tampa Bay wins the game by 10 points. I mean, we've got the clutchest quarterback besides Joe Montana that's ever played. Yes, I get my Joe Montana plug. I just think that there's no way you're blowing out Brady at home. All right, maybe if it was at Dallas. No, not at Dallas. I think where they're going to have trouble is at San Francisco. He's going to get a lot of heat, their defense, and they got to stop Purdy. Over, under, do we know? I got to update my stats. I'll do that after the show. as far as the team. So based on last week, Dallas is an A team with a kind of a weaker defense, and Tampa Bay is an under team. So they don't score that much. They have a good defense. Dallas should have a good defense, but it's not as good as they used to. All right. So let's look at injuries off of covers. We've got Huntley questionable with the wrist. Now, Huntley didn't play last week either. It says here Lamar Jackson's out indefinitely with the knee. I keep seeing that he might play, but I don't know, but he's out. So if he's out, freaking how is this spread only 6.5? Let's confirm that and bet our houses on Cincinnati. Buffalo, really no injuries. Von Miller's out. Micah Hyde's out. That's about it. Cincinnati, cornerback questionable, guard questionable. Another guard out with an illness, but he's been out a while. And then some IR guys. Nothing really big. No Chase, no T. Higgins, no Burrow. The running backs are all fine. So look for Cincinnati to just crush Baltimore here. Dallas. A. Brown, cornerback with an Achilles, is out. A guard's questionable. Van Der Esch, questionable with the shoulder. The center's questionable. The tackle's on IR. Hankins, the defensive tackle's out. Linebacker's out with an Achilles. Lewis from Michigan, cornerback, is on IR. That's about it. So nobody key on offense or defense for Dallas. Jacksonville. D lineman Smoot, who's really good, is out with an Achilles. Robinson, an O lineman, who cares? Ridley, I love it. Ridley from Alabama is out for betting on football. Can you believe this shit? FanDuel all over the place, and their receiver's out for betting on football. How stupid is this, Ridley? If you want to bet, then contact me, and I make your bets, and then I give you the winner. Why would you make your own bets? This guy's such a fucking idiot. Here's another Alabama guy for you. Shaquille Griffin from UCF has been out, and that's about it. So nothing major for Jacksonville. Unfortunately, you have Trevor Lawrence playing, so that's a big handicap for him. KC, they're not even playing this week. We're not going to waste time. San Diego, Mike Williams, questionable with the back. Boza, questionable. What else is new? I'm sure he'll play. Horwath, fullback. Cornerback, questionable. A lot of IR guys. 3 defensive linemen on IR. See, this is the problem. You get all these guys injured. They're on the IR, and then the team isn't as good. Well, yeah, you got half the team on the IR, so it makes it look like it's a bad coach. Let's blame Aaron Rodgers. Let's blame Brady. No, when half your team's out, it's not the quarterback's fault. So in this situation, San Diego, okay, Williams, I'm sure he'll play. Boza, as long as those two play, and we'll get more definition Friday. San Diego is a Saturday night game. So Friday we'll know when we do the show Friday. But with that said, as long as they play, you got Keenan Allen, you got Herbert, you got Eckler, you got Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack will just shut down Lawrence. He'll try to run, and he's going to find Khalil Mack in his face. He might have 5 completions. Rams, Raiders, Miami. Bridgewater, probable with a finger. Waddle, probable with an ankle. Mozart is doubtful with the thumb. Tagliabue out with a concussion, so I assume he's out. He's probably done playing, Tagliabue. That's what sidelined Aikman and Steve Young, was concussions. He's had, 3 this year? And and he's still in concussion protocol after 3 weeks. I think he tries next year. He gets another concussion. I think he's done. So what a wasted pick that was, which I said all along. Gaskin out, the running back. A lot of injuries on Miami, so Buffalo's going to kill them, especially with Bridgewater. Maybe you get an over, but I think because Buffalo's defense is so bad and it's 44, I think you do like you did last night. You go over 38, and Buffalo gets you the 38 by themselves. Miami does not have a defense. Minnesota, a lot of questionable. Defensive lineman, linebacker I never heard of, cornerback I never heard of, safety Harrison Smith, questionable with a knee. Cook, now that's an interesting injury. Delvin Cook, questionable with a knee. My guess is he plays. Bradbury, O'Neal, Evans. So that's really all. So it's really comes down to Harrison Smith and Cook, and they're both questionable with knees. I would assume they both play. If it's really serious, they're out or doubtful. If they're just kind of banged up, it's questionable. They take the shot and they play. So I would think they play. Minnesota, terrible, their problem's Kirk Cousins. The Giants, their opponent, let's see. Defensive lineman questionable, linebacker questionable, guard out, cornerback. Now, I've never heard of any of these guys. E. Smith, linebacker out. Boy, I mean, they're a pathetic team, the Giants. So all you know is Barkley's playing and Daniel Jones, who went to the Peyton Manning quarterback camp. That's why they drafted him. Unbelievable. So the Giants, they laid down. No respect for this team. Minnesota, we can't really. There's probably an over game because we can't really trust Minnesota with their defense. We certainly can't trust the Giants, who laid down. No respect for the coach. I do not see the Giants winning the game. But I don't see Minnesota being better than anybody. So this is a over game, I would imagine. Too bad we can't bet the Jets that they're not in it. Philadelphia, they got a bye, so I'm not going to waste time. But the Niners. The Niners are the first game with Seattle. So let's look at the Niners. O lineman questionable with an ankle. D lineman questionable with a knee. Cornerback questionable with an ankle. Linebacker questionable with a back. Garoppolo, who cares? We've got the better quarterback. I wonder what they do with Lance. They just let him go or whatever. I mean, so Purdy's your quarterback. I would assume Garoppolo's your backup. I would think Lance just goes out. Some idiot team like Jacksonville will pick him up until they realize he sucks, just like they're doing with Blaine Gabbert at Tampa. What the fuck was that guy doing on the field the other day? So nothing really serious, just a few questionables that'll play. But Purdy's there, and it's funny how Purdy's been questionable. He's fine. McCafferty's been questionable. He's not questionable this week. I think the Niners just kill them. I think they're the better team. I think Seattle had so much trouble at home against the Rams, and the Niners' defense is times 5, and their offense is times 10. Playoff game, the Niners are going to kill them. Seattle, what do we got? We got a couple of IRs, defensive tackle questionable, both safeties questionable, a guard, Goodwin, he's been out on IR. Penny, IR. So you have my MSU guy, and you got your receivers and your quarterback. So you've got your offense, but where was it against the fucking Rams? I mean, I couldn't believe what I was watching on the highlights, that the Rams are doing this to Seattle. It was unbelievable. And what was the Rams playing their running back for? Whatchamacallit? Cam Akers. Why was Cam Akers in the game at all, especially in the second half? With all these guys crying about, oh, you better pull your players, and the Giants pulling their players, and we're going to get injuries. And here the Rams are playing Cam Akers the whole game with a 3-win team against Seattle. I just scratched my head like, what the fuck's going on here? Tampa Bay. Centers, Jensen's been out. Well, he's questionable. Maybe he's coming back. That'd be great. Defensive end, cornerback questionable. Safety questionable, never. Vita Vea questionable with the calf. He'll play. Julio Jones, I can't believe he's on the injured list with a knee. I'm sure he'll play. It's a playoff game. Gage and Evans are questionable with an illness. Evans is questionable with an illness. I'm sure he'll be playing. What does that mean? A flu or COVID or what? I don't know. Shaq Barrett with the Achilles, that really hurt him because he's a really good linebacker. Fortunately, they have Larry David and their other guys. So Vita Vea plays, and I'm sure Jones and Gage and Evans are going to play. They're just questionable. I can't believe they're going to miss a playoff game and a chance to beat Dallas. So relatively healthy. We'll find out more Friday. That is it. That is the end of the playoff injury. So really, we just got to watch Lamar Jackson. Not that we're afraid of him, but just, how much are we going to bet on Cincinnati with how much you're going to bet on Cincinnati? You prefer not to have if I got Huntley instead of Jackson, I'm going to bet a few extra dollars on it. But superficially, without really digging in, you got to love the Niners. You got to love San Diego, maybe San Diego over, Buffalo, the over in the mini game, Cincinnati, and then Tampa Bay. So these are my thoughts. Bobby Bowe, how the hell are you? The rest will look out for you. Yes, we know, Phil, you're right. Bobby is here. Did you go over the Charger-Jags game already? I'll go over them again. I just kind of touched football. The first part of this show, class, Bobby, was people that bet against me on here. So we're trying to understand psychology that if I give you Frisco to beat Seattle and you bet Seattle, then I'm trying to understand psychology, why you're in the class, why you think Seattle is a good bet, and you bet it. Because I had a guy, I gave the TCU over yesterday, right? And he bet TCU. And I'm like, well, why are you betting TCU? I gave the over as the free pick. And that's who I bet on. And I bet it heavily. And I won. And TCU gets killed. But I said that the bet was over. And then, so I'm trying to understand why you would bet your own play and not my play, as if you know more than me or whatever. So we got into it as ego. Right, Bobby? So I could tell you how to hit a baseball, but you're probably not going to listen to me because you hit 300, right? So you're probably going to say no, but you might have an open mind going, yeah, but the professor gave me this. Maybe I'll try it, even though I know how to hit. But, if I get a good idea, or if I teach you gold and silver, you have an open mind. You go, yeah, and as you did, and you've been buying the silver. So I don't understand when I give a game. Now, he says he listens to the sharp. So I read a definition of the sharp. Somebody goes 55% or more. I'm in the 70s. What are you doing getting sharps when you have a sharp, right? And you can follow me, and I've given you all these picks. I gave you 10 winners on Sunday. I'm really baffled by it, where the guys actually not only not listening, but betting against me or other teams. So that was kind of the first hour of trying to understand why you're not open-minded. And then on my side, to not get angry, like if I tell my brother to bet gold and to buy gold and silver and he doesn't, and he kind of makes fun, how do you then handle that? Because it's like you, Bobby, you tell your family you're buying silver, they look at you like you're an alien, and you're like, how do you deal with that on your side? You know it's the right play, but you're kind of like a little angry, like, why aren't they listening to me? So, but it's worse is if they don't listen to you and then do something like, so if I give TCU over and they bet TCU, now I'm really all fucked up. Anyway, let's go over the Charger Jags game. I don't understand why San Diego's favored, because I want to bet them as the dog. I would bet a very big bet, San Diego plus points. I think this game's an over. I really like San Diego plus 4.5. I like over 41.5. Also, I just think Herbert's so much better than Lawrence. When Tennessee blitzed Lawrence, he didn't complete a pass. The whole midway through the third quarter and fourth quarter, they had to blitz him 10 times, and he was basically just chucking the ball into the ground. He overthrew the guy in the end zone by 15 feet. There was plays on the sidelines. He just threw the ball away. So he's incapable. If you blitz him when he's not getting sacked, all he does is throw the ball away. So all San Diego has to do with Khalil Mack and Bosa's back is just blitz him. He'll just fall down. He won't complete a pass the whole game. You can't do that to Herbert. He's got Keenan Allen. He's got Eckhart. I just think San Diego, double-digit win, easy, maybe over the 41.5. If I look at my sheet until I update my sheet, San Diego is a over team. So they score a lot, but their defense isn't great. Although with Bosa back, it'll be better, but he's just back. And then Jacksonville is really an even team. So their defense isn't that great either. Again, they held, who was Tennessee's quarterback? We can't even remember. And then it was all running Henry. So they're not going to face the same quarterback they faced on Tennessee. And, they're going against Herbert. And then it was 20-16 in which they got a gift on the fumble. That was ruled a fumble, not an incompletion, which it was an incompletion. So they get 20. So they only scored 13 on Tennessee. But Tennessee's an under team. That makes sense. San Diego is more of an over team. So I like San Diego, and I like the over in the game. Lawrence stinks, really. So there you go, Bobby. So if I go through the games again, we like Frisco. We like San Diego and the over. Buffalo and the Penn. If Tagovailoa plays, then he'll probably only play a quarter till he gets reconcussioned. Kind of like the game over. Buffalo has no defense, but the good offense. We like Minnesota over because we can't trust either team. We like Cincinnati. That's a joke. If Lamar Jackson plays or not, we like, and I don't think he's playing, we like Cincinnati. And then Dallas, Tampa Bay. How are they making Dallas the favorite in this game makes no sense to me. So I like Tampa as a home dog all day long. Probably over. It's only 45-39. As bad as Tampa's offensive coordinator is, I still think they both get into the 20s. We need 39.5. There you go, Bobby Bo. I hope that helped. So that's your playoff football. What else we got going? So recapping yesterday, TCU, Georgia. That's why we took Georgia. That's what you do is when you watch the other games, that's what you're looking for. You're looking at Georgia, Ohio State, and really Georgia couldn't stop Ohio State, but Ohio State couldn't stop Georgia when they needed it. And TCU, Michigan, a fairly good defense, couldn't stop TCU. So that led you to an over game. Now, you didn't expect Georgia to do all the scoring in this game, but that's exactly what happened. Yeah, it was a boring game, but at the end of the day, they went over 54, so we don't care how boring it was. It was a good game, and for us, we won, so that's all that matters. So that's it for college for the year. Now, what we'll look at is all these transfer portals. We got to get our quarterbacks for next year where they're at. Rising will still be at Utah. Who's the new UCLA quarterback? Now, I know there was a guy that transferred who I thought wasn't bad. Just really the graduate quarterbacks. Now you got to watch the new coaches because like they fucked up Van Dyke this year with a terrible coach. The guy from Oregon who sucked at Oregon. I didn't understand why they brought him to Miami, but he fucked up Van Dyke. So you got to be careful when they bring in a new coach. He tends to fuck up the quarterback because he's not smart enough to keep the same offense that the guy's so successful. He changes the offense and then he fucks the quarterback up. That happened to Jordan Love at Utah State and happened to Van Dyke last year. Fortunately, the Utah coach stayed, so they didn't fuck Rising up. Bobby, I'm looking forward to the playoffs this weekend. And I don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but it's all right. I hate when college football ends. Yeah, it's very depressing. That's why if they go to a nice 16 team playoff, it'll be much better because I think they have to. You've got these guys sitting out bowl games, ruining the bowl experience. It ruins the betting experience. How do I bet a team on it? Is he playing or not? Rising actually got hurt in the third quarter, so he didn't like sit out. He played the first series, hurts his knee, and then they just kept him out the rest of the game. So it's not like he sat out. He actually did get injured, his left knee. But USC played their quarterback, Thompson Robinson played, but got hurt. Hayner played. I love listening to these idiots on the radio. Well, Hayner might be a good free agent or late round pick. Fuck, Hayner should be a first round pick. If you're talking about C.J. Stroud and the Alabama quarterback, and you're not talking about Hayner from Fresno State and Rising from Utah, you have no idea what you're talking about. Phil, these rumors, Miami will pursue Cliff Kingsbury for OC. That may help. Well, they need that. I mean, this guy just ruined Van. How do you come as a coach, not know you have Van Dyke and not know what Van Dyke did last year and change the offense on him? What the fuck is that? So Cliff Kingsbury is the coach of Arizona. Is he no longer the coach of Arizona? Did they fire him already? What do I know? The Houston fired their coach. Well, you hired Lovie Smith. Did you really think that would work? And your coach the year before was Joe Smith. Did you really think that'll work? And if you keep giving them Davis Mills as your quarterback, Don Shula could coach a team, and it ain't going to work with Davis Mills. You think a coach like Don Shula would allow Davis Mills to play? Hell no. He got funded. Okay, so why did they hire him in the first place when he sucked in college? Again, it's a very simple thing. If you can't play in college or you can't coach in college, why would you think you're going to play or coach better in the pros? Like Mills. Mills sucked at Stanford. That's why I'm on him, right? And then you think he's going to go play on Houston. He's going to be a superstar. What do you got him for? Oh, he's cheap. He's under the 5 years. So we're just going to have players that suck go win 1 or 2 games a year and then win the wrong game, right? They win it at the end, a game they cost them the number 1 draft pick. The number 1 draft pick is very valuable, even if you don't use it. Like Houston could easily draft a quarterback. Rising's not out there, but there's a ton of Pac-10 and Big 12 quarterbacks out there that they could take. I would never take the Alabama guy because it's a system thing, and they don't do anything in the pros. So I wouldn't take them, but I mean, that would be my first pick, or I would trade it to somebody needing a quarterback and get their first round pick and like trade it to the Lions and get Goff and their first and the Ram pick, the 6th pick. That I would do if I was Houston, right? You can have the first pick. I don't need them. I'll have Goff. I mean, I need so many players. I need more picks. That's what I would do. Like I said that with the Lions a couple years ago when Burrow came out. I would have traded Stafford and my 5th or 6th pick, or I think it was the 3rd pick, to Cincinnati, and then I would have got the 1 pick and picked Burrow because he's a once in a generation player, Burrow. All these guys are not, they can't touch Burrow. That's what I would do. But in this case, what the fuck? What's Houston going to do? They need a quarterback desperately. I don't even know why Mills is on the team. He's terrible. And their backup's even worse. Whoever their GM is just a freaking idiot. Then I love these owners that are CEOs like Jerry's World. And there was, I think the guy in Houston and then the guy in New England is the owner, CEO, general manager type of crap. These guys don't know what the fuck they're doing. Kraft doesn't have a clue what he's doing. He lucked into Tom Brady. Belichick's not the answer as a coach. And he has Zappy, but he doesn't play him. Fucking idiot. but that's what you have. So what you look for in college is you're going to look for, you got to keep an eye on coaching changes. You got to keep an eye on these transfer, so you basically buy the football magazine, next year. And the intent of the magazine, this is last year's, is to see who the quarterbacks are. And that's what you're looking at. Then what you're going to do is Miami the same last year as they are this year? No, they weren't. Is Utah the same? Yeah, they will, because they have Rising back for a 6th year. And you look at these explosive teams, TCU, well, they have the coach, Baylor and Oak State and that, and you look at UCLA and USC, Utah will be, and you look at all those teams and you're trying to get overs and unders on them. So if it's a good coach, you're probably going to have over. Ohio State will be over. Michigan, I hear there's going to be sanctions. They're all over Harbaugh for cheating. No surprise there. I think he goes to the pros because he's going to get caught. And you just look for your new over teams. Your Kansas. Who's next year's Kansas? Hopefully it's still Kansas, which I think it is. As long as their coach doesn't leave and their OC doesn't leave, they had a very highly intelligent offensive coordinator, because I saw some of those plays were unbelievable. So that's what you're looking for. Who's the Kansas? And you look for a big score. So if somebody wins 49-0, you keep an eye on them. If they keep doing it, then that's our over team. And they don't have a defense, so they're a perfect over team, which we bet over all the time. That's what you're looking for, So it takes a few games to see who we want, who's our over team, who's our under team, who's the new, TCU. But once you get them, we jumped on them, right? So after about 2 weeks, when TCU killed Oklahoma, which was week 2 or 3, I was on TCU. Every time they were a dog, I bet them, except last night, which I had the over. And that's what you're looking for. So you've got to be open-minded, but you got to figure it out. How the fuck are you going to look at the betting to figure out this stuff? I mean, it wasn't even a method. The guy's trying to sell me a method. It wasn't even a method. It was stupid. I know what I'm doing. I know if you gave me a good point, Bobby said, do this. And I looked at it and I said, yeah, Bobby, that makes sense. I would listen to Bobby. I would have an open mind to listen to him, not a closed mind, and certainly not the way this guy picks, if he even picks that way. It's just ridiculous. Andrew, Green Bay, Detroit, oops. That really helped the class, Andrew. Hey, Andrew. Oh, my God. Did you bet TCU over yesterday, Andrew, like I told you? Probably not. Yeah, so what? Did you expect me to go 100%? Are you here to try to make me feel bad or point out that I had a loser? Are you picking any games, Andrew? What's your record? Did you have TCU over? Why? As long as we're discussing it, let's discuss everything. Did you have Seattle? I did. Free pick lock. Did you have TCU over? I did. Free pick lock. So I don't get when you're trying to say that crap. So if you're going to bring that up, I'm not going to let you talk anymore. If you bring up bullshit like Green Bay, Detroit, you lost. We know I lost. It was a free pick. What's the point of that comment? What's the point? I had it over. We know I had it over. It was a free pick. So if you're going to bring that into the class, it doesn't add value. So only bring shit that adds value, like yesterday's over that I had. Anyway, that's Canadians for you. They're all sarcastic. All right, so we went over the playoffs. So that's what we're looking for next year is your Kansases, your TCU next year. Is it going to be consistent? Now, your Alabama and Ohio State are pretty consistent. They pay their players very well. Most of them take pay cuts when they go into the NFL. And so you got pretty much like Georgia will be the best team. That you have. So the question is going to be like an LSU with Brian Kelly. What's Notre Dame going to look like? I don't know. Did they get Hartman? Somebody said that Hartman went to Notre Dame, but when I went into the portal, I didn't see it. And he's got to have good grades to go to Notre Dame. Maybe he didn't get grades, but if I was Hartman, I'd go to Michigan or Ohio State, and then you'd really see an all-pro quarterback. So that's what you're looking for, and you're looking for it as we go. Buffalo, an A team, but now we see that they don't have a defense. We see last week New England puts up 23 on them. How the fuck you letting Mac Jones put up 23? So you see that Buffalo without Von Miller is exposed. They don't have a defense. They're going to get killed by Cincinnati and or Kansas City are both going to light them up. The KC game we go over. The Cincinnati game we take Cincy if they're the dog, which I think the game will be in Buffalo. We get Cincy in 3. We get Cincy in 9. We bet a fortune on it. You're not beating Burrow. Nobody's beating Burrow. Maybe the Niners with that defense. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm betting Burrow all the way through here. So that's really what you have in the playoffs. And then we got Philly. Philly's a joke as a 1 seed. And then Kansas City, they're the 1 seeds are Frisco and Cincinnati. You can call the others 1 seeds, but that's not really what you have. All right, so college, that's what you look for. Even pros, we look. Cincinnati's the 1 seed. We have to realize it and then bet it accordingly and pound it. Dallas, Tampa, we realize Prescott throws 2 pick sixes a game. We can't bet on Dallas, and then you go accordingly. San Diego, again, why are they favored? But they're obviously the better team. They're going to kiss Trevor Lawrence's ass when he gets killed by 20. They can kiss his ass all they want. And then Minnesota, the Giants. So of the game, so Seattle played, Frisco played. San Diego played their guys most of the game. Jacksonville played poorly. Miami played. They had to, although they sucked. Buffalo played. The Giants sat their guys. Minnesota played, I think, 3 quarters against the Bears. Baltimore, I guess they played since he played. Dallas did not play, and Tampa. Tampa played Brady at least the first half. So I'm eliminating Dallas. And I'm eliminating the Giants from winning because they laid down and they didn't try. And as Bobby has explained, there's no fucking way Dallas can lose to Washington 26-6, turn the switch and beat Tampa Bay at Tampa. Can't happen. You can't turn the switch off and then just turn it on and be at full capacity. It doesn't work. It's impossible. There's no way Dallas can win this game because they sat out, although they did play Prescott, which is even more puzzling. Prescott plays and they lose 26-6. What does that tell you about how bad Prescott is against Washington, who played a 4-string CFL quarterback and beat him 26-6? No way Dallas should be favored. Tampa should be a 3-point favorite here. No way Dallas should be favored. There's no way Dallas is going to win this game. So, Andrew, you can bitch at me all you want if Dallas wins, but basically, I don't really give a shit, Andrew. I'm telling you the way it is, what the thought process is. You shouldn't be betting Dallas. If you want to, go ahead. But we'll see. So that's it. So we got to check injuries, some stats, which I'll do after this. Psychology, we talked about why people don't listen. At least we give Andrew credit. He did at least bet the Green Bay Detroit over, where the other guy actually didn't even bet it. He actually bet Detroit, which made no sense. Detroit didn't have anything to play for. They got lucky to win, but that wasn't the correct play. You can't play against it. That's like interest rates going up. I'm going to go buy a house. Yeah, real smart thing to do. I watched the Madoff thing on Netflix now. So I watched the whole thing. And there's so many fuck ups. The SEC fucked up. One guy gave 30 reasons why it's a scam. He says it's all a Ponzi scheme. There's no way he can possibly do that. You can't always make money. It's like me saying I win every football bet, right? If I said that, it'd be a Ponzi scheme. There's no way I can possibly pick every game right. I try to, but shit happens and you don't. And I pick about 7 out of 10, which is extremely high, but you hear them all, so you can't question. I picked the Detroit game over and it lost, but I picked TCU over and that. Anyway, so a real honest person is, might be exceptional at it, but nobody can go 100%. So Madoff basically, Ponzi schemed everybody. The people that bought from him were idiots because if it's too good to be true, it is. And everybody's getting greedy and not asking questions. So they're saying, oh, this is great. I'm going to make all this money. What's he do? I don't know what he does. I just know I'm going to make the money. I'll bury my head in the sand. He'll make me 20%, even though the best return at this point is 5 or 6% with inflation and everything else. He's not putting me in gold. Well, it found out he never made a transaction. He never bought one stock. How the fuck are you running a fund and not buying one stock? So people aren't asking for his record. What's your stock? And his answer would be, he'd yell at you and he would say, it's none of your business. If you don't like it, get out of the fund. I would never have been in the fund. I think I was asked about it by my brother-in-law, who was a doctor. He's a cancer doctor, pretty rich guy. This is my ex-wife's sister's husband. And we would talk. We were close. I got him a Lawrence Taylor official jersey for his birthday one year. He loved it. That was it. He'd go to the Giant games and there'd be a whole section of Lawrence Taylor jersey people. It was hysterical. But he's from New York. So he brought this up and he said, well, I got an investment. I'm going to make 15%. I says, it's fake. Because I know enough that the return was 5-6%. That's it. That's all you're going to make. I'm going to make 15. You can't make 15. You can't just come out and make 15 when at best you're going to make 5. Maybe you make 6 or 7. He says, well, it's a shopping center. They bought the shopping center and they're going to get this big return on it. And I said, it's a scam. It took me all of 3 seconds with my background to know it's a scam. Just like if somebody said, I win every day at poker or I pick 100% football. It's impossible. You can't do it. Therefore, that's all you need to hear is the guy saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to get 15%. I don't know. I think he lost his money in it because I got divorced and I haven't really heard. But I'm sure he lost his ass in it because it's impossible. But he'll say it was like a strip mall or something. Meanwhile, all the strip malls are going bankrupt because everybody went on the internet and now they're doing, well, like me, I don't need a storefront to teach. I can teach here. So everybody's on the internet. So anyway, if it's too good to be true, it is. If you're in doubt, you come ask somebody like me, who's an economist and a finance person and kind of worldly, knows his poker, knows common sense. And you go, I got this investment. Does this make sense? My answer would always be go buy gold and silver because there's no risk. You're going to make 100 times more percentage than you're going to in an investment, especially dealing with somebody that isn't telling you what it is. So if I don't explain why we're betting Cincinnati, Baltimore, and I say take Cincinnati, and I don't explain it, I'm an idiot, right? You'd go, I don't know why Howard likes it, but he does, so I'm betting it. No, if I don't explain it, you don't bet it. And when asked, Madoff, he would get mad at the people, he'd yell at them, and he would never explain it. And all he did was somebody would give him 20 grand and he'd give it to somebody else. And they're getting this big return, and they kept getting more and more because people were getting the money going, oh, I'm making 20%. How does he do it? I don't know. So eventually this firm in Boston wanted to reverse engineer him and compete with them. And their finance guy like me looks at it and goes, it's a Ponzi scheme. It's impossible for him to do what he did. Then they started digging in and found he never made a sale. So they send this all to the SEC, 30 bullet points. It's a scam, it's a scam, it's a scam. And the SEC doesn't do anything with it. And the SEC should go to jail for malpractice because that's why you go. So once the SEC cleared him, then more people invested with him because they said, oh, well, the SEC, he cleared the investigation. I still would go and say, let me see, if I was in a mutual fund, which I haven't been in 10 years, I want to see the stocks we have in it because I wanted gold stocks or I wanted Coca-Cola because I knew the trade cycle. And if the interest rates were going up, I wanted to be out of the car companies. I wanted to be in Coke and Disney and Hershey's and that and ketchup. I want to be in little food that do well under inflation and out of the car companies. So I would ask to see what stocks are you in. If they couldn't give me an answer, I'd tell them to go fuck themselves. Don't be afraid of that. So when he wouldn't answer, people are like, oh, well, I'm getting a good return. And now they're all crying that they lost all their money. And I'm laughing going, well, if you act like an idiot, you get what you got coming to you. One guy lost $1 million and he's crying with his wife. It was my life savings. So you're a fucking idiot. If you would have bought gold like you should have, you wouldn't be crying. You'd have that money plus. In a situation they can't see, this is the beauty of gold and silver. You can't lose. Once it gets off of COMEX, you can't. It'll only go up because the demand will keep going. So you can lose because COMEX is manipulating it, but you can't lose once it's off of COMEX. The gold and silver is gold and silver. You don't have to deal with some idiot manipulating it. Well, you do for now, but we know it's ending. If you want a safe haven and I can probably guarantee you a 25% return on investment because your 2,000 is going to turn into 50, it's probably 2,500. I can guarantee you a 2,500 return on investment in silver from $25 to 2,000. I can probably guarantee you that return on investment. But you know what? It's not my fund. I'm not selling you anything. You're buying it on your own and just holding it, right? So that's a whole difference than if you're buying it from me and I'm promising it to you versus you're buying it on your own. You're handling it. I'm giving you the game to bet, which is gold and silver. And that's the difference. And that's what you want to be doing. So that's really what the point is. So these Madoff people are all, but they have nobody but themselves to blame. Well, if let's say Bobby says, hey, get into this mutual fund. I've been making 25% with it. I would say, what is it? What do they own? And if Bobby can't tell me what they own, I guess what? I don't play it. Now, if he says, well, they're in China or they're in Russia or some defense contractors, I still don't play it, but at least I understand. And I go, yeah, okay, Bobby, that makes sense. I'm still in gold and silver the whole way, and that's it. Now, I was watching something, and that record guy, the attorney he admitted he's a monetarist economist, which means he's a Keynesian. Monetarist and Keynesians are the same thing. They're communists. They want the government to run the market, not the people. And those are evil people, and you need to not listen. So if you ever hear this Rickards guy, do not listen to him. He's a communist. Why would you want to listen to him? He doesn't understand Austrian economics. Just tell him to go fuck off. All you're going to do is lose listening to this idiot. So please don't listen to him. Same thing with Peter Schiff. Same thing with this Rick Rule guy. Anybody that talks funny that you can't understand. If anybody talks to you about any subject in your life and you're puzzled going, what the fuck are you talking about? Or I don't understand, run. Don't walk, run. Say, thank you very much. I got to go. My girlfriend wants to fuck me. I got to go. Goodbye. And just you can't have a conversation with people that you can't understand. Do you ever have me explain something that you can't understand? No, because I explain it. If there is, and you give me a question here, that's why it's open, and you say, Howard, I didn't get it. We go through it again. I try to explain the Madoff thing as best I can. He never invested. He took your money. He took somebody else's money. So he takes my money and Bobby's money, and then he gives me Bobby's money. He doesn't make a trade. And then Phil comes in and he gives Bobby Phil's money. And then me and Bobby think, oh, we made 20%. This is great. Here, we'll give you more money. And we'll tell our friends, and they come and invest in Madoff. That's exactly what happened, right? Everybody said, wow, I'm making this money without asking Madoff what the hell you're doing. Madoff was like a child, would get all nervous and very bullying, like don't ask me any questions. If you ask somebody a question and they answer it like that, don't walk, run away. Don't do any business with this person in any line of work. That is a huge red flag. And I know we're talking psychology today. That's a huge red flag. When you got a bully, they're bullying because they don't know. If you're at work and you ask a question, can you show me Excel? And they yell at you, they don't know, they can't answer it. Avoid this person. Now, the difficulty at work, or, hopefully when you're dating a girl and you want to get married or just have a girlfriend, same thing. If they start yelling at you, run away. Yeah, you're hot, but, or you'll be girlfriend number 5. I have these other Russian girls that don't treat me like this. That's what you need to do. You need to that's the type of personality that they don't know, but they're so insecure, they can't tell you. You can ask me questions. I might get upset that you're not taking my pick, but I am honest with you and I'm giving you the pick. The picks are given. You got the videos. I just went through the pros. We like San Diego. You've got it. You don't have to worry about it. Bobby, yeah, I knew you'd like it, Bobby. My girl wants to fuck me. Well, think about it. Isn't that the beautiful answer? You're dealing with the Madoff, and he starts yelling at you because you're asking him a question, or you meet some of these idiots in the hot tub, or well, you're not working now, but you meet these guys, and I meet them here. How many guys have I had to kill here, or at the hot tub, where they just don't get it? You start explaining gold and silver and they don't get it, or they start explaining their shit. Now when I see these guys at the hot tub, I ignore them. I go in the hot tub. I don't even look at them. I don't give them the time of day. You had your chance. You had a professor that you could have asked questions to. You chose to ignore me or think I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, go fuck yourself. You had your chance. I'm not giving you a second chance. Just move on. And goes back to the psychology of the whole thing we're talking about. When you give a pick or you give advice or poker or gold or whatever, I get it a lot with the Bitcoiners that come on here, or just Bitcoiners in general, when they start talking about Bitcoin, and I go, well, I don't know what it is. I'm open-minded, but I never get an answer of why it's going to go up or what it is or why did you invest in it. Nobody can give me a straight answer of, well, because there's 21 million and I think the Russian mafia is going to let it go, or they're all going to invest in it because of the war. And, I heard it's going up. I never heard that answer. So usually, but I don't fight them. I just, if I'm at poker and you're in Bitcoin, I go, why? You can't answer it. I don't keep going with it. I just end it. I go, well, I'm in gold, and if they want to ask why, then I give them an answer. But otherwise, I just kind of laugh at them like, well, Bitcoin's not going to help you. Don't come crawling to me when your Bitcoin goes to zero and my gold goes to 50,000. Don't come coming to me when I try to explain, but you either don't trust that I know what I'm talking about, which really pisses me off, or you think you know better and you're not going to have an open mind. That I can deal with more, but if you don't trust that I know what I'm talking about, that I really have a hard time with. It's like, I don't talk about things I don't know. I'm not talking about, rockets or how to make a car or shit like that. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care how you make a car. I do care about Excel or finance, but I don't care about an engine or a transmission. I could give a shit. Or, most medical stuff. I can tell you about eating, but I can't really tell you about, I can say how to get your high blood pressure down by incremental fasting. And that works. And I've done it. And I'm not a doctor, but I can explain that. And that will help you, as I am the proof. I've done it. Bobby, how's your diet going, Bobby? I know you've been doing incremental fasting, or at least trying to. I hope and you'll be surprised how the weight just runs off. If you can go 2 weeks and not eat after dinner and then just get into the routine, lunch, snack, dinner, a little bit of water or coffee after, eat my veggies, eat some fruit, eat my avocado, have my chicken or ribs or pig's ears, and just get into it for like a month. You'll drop 10 pounds. Your blood pressure will be much more normal. You'll be shocked. I didn't do that at first. My blood pressure was 180 over like 140. And I remember I had to go to the doctor for, so I get into this for a couple of months and I don't know what's happening. I go to the doctor for something, or I think I went to CVS for something, just some medication. And I checked my blood pressure and it was down to 130 over 90 or something in 2 months, 3 months at most. And that's when I checked it. And then I got I know it's working. Once you get it's working, then it's worth it. Then you stay on it. It's when you go on a diet, and this is not a diet. When you go on a diet and you try to lose weight and you don't lose weight, what do? You get frustrated and you end up gaining weight because now you're frustrated and you eat more. But this is beautiful. This is just simply eat lunch, eat dinner, no sweets, no chips, no Oreos, and then wait till noon the next day and eat. And it's just eating. It's not even a diet. It's just, I'm going to have broccoli and 3 egg omelet, and I'm going to have a steak for dinner. That's not a diet. I get my dark chocolate. But once it starts working and you go from 44 waist pants to 42, I mean, look at my videos from a couple years ago. I was huge. Now you look at me and I'm much fitter and trimmer. And all of a sudden I'm in a 40 waist pants. Then I'm in a 38. Now I'm in 36s. Obviously it's working, and I'm not this isn't even a diet. This is just, okay, eat at noon, eat it, have a snack at 3, eat dinner at 6, steaks, ribs, whatever you want, chicken, and then don't eat after. And I do my swimming pretty much every day. I walk the lake, although it's been cold, so I haven't really done that in a while. And that's it. And you sit there, and now you're in 36 waist pants. It's unbelievable. That proves it works. And once that works, so I give you an education based on what I actually did, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to, teach you things I don't know. And really, this is like my economics. I learned it. I'm teaching you what I learned from somebody else. So I am an economist, but when I read you my notes, it's from another economist who taught me. So I guess it's all the same. But the same thing here. This is from a doctor on YouTube who it works. And I'm basically this is what the guy told me. But I don't pretend to be a doctor. I'm not. But I do tell you what I know. Poker, stuff like that, I can tell you about. The other stuff, I don't go out of my spectrum. If I don't know something, if I don't know anything about coffee, I don't tell you about coffee. I don't know. Poker, I do know. I've been doing it, so I can talk about that. What else? So anyway, that's the key red the red flags. So they never did anything about Madoff. Then 2008 happens, and the whole housing crisis happens. I'm shocked he didn't know about that and protect him. But basically what happened was he got like $1 billion of people wanting their money because they needed the money because of the housing crisis, right? So the housing goes, they can't afford the rent. They go, Madoff, I need my money. So he had like $1 billion of people that needed his money, but he only had 400 million of cash, or I don't even think he had that. Let's say he had 40 million in cash and I owe out $1 billion. I'm fucked because I can't give out the $1 billion because I don't have it invested. I just have it from new people. And I bought a house in France, and I bought a house in New York, and a house in Florida. And so all the money that I had, I spent. So I don't have it anymore. Well, I could sell the houses, but basically I think he bought a boat in France. So he didn't have any money. That's what got him. Is everybody asked for their money. He didn't have $1 billion to give out. They wanted the money. What's he going to do? And that's why he went, and then he admitted it, and then they threw him in jail. And then everybody's crying, he screwed me. Well, that's your own fault. You didn't do your due diligence. Now it is the SEC's fault because the guy gave him 30 red flags. It's a scam. And they didn't read it because they were trying to reverse engineer it. And they found that you can't because it's not real. He's never made a trade. Well, how am I supposed to compete with that? We'd actually make trades. So, because the biggest thing is if you say you're picking 100%, you never lose at poker, you hit every football game. When you hear that shit, run. It's not possible. As good as I am, I cannot pick every game right? I lost the Lion Green Bay over. I picked a lot of winners. We had Tennessee and Pitt and Minnesota and Cincinnati and Seattle and Buffalo and the Miami under, and we lost the Detroit game and we lost the Dallas game. I mean, you're going to get some losers, but the logic's all the same, and most of the time it works. Once in a while, I run the table and I'll go 12-0, and I love when people try to time me. Oh, he's hot. Well, it all depends on the makeup of the games of the week, what I'm going to do. Now, this week's a very good makeup. I probably will go 6-0. But I'll more than likely go 5-1. There'll be a stinker in there, like Jacksonville beats San Diego, or the Giants midi play an under game or something like that, or Dallas blows out Tampa. I mean, there's always that one game that you're not expecting that goes against the grain of how you pick. That's human nature. That's why I can't go 100%, but I don't say I go 100%. I'm probably 70, 75%. Because I figured out the variables, which I'm basically betting against weak defenses for the overs, like last night's game, like the Green Bay game. Detroit's got a terrible defense. So did Green Bay. Game should have been higher. If the Detroit, that long pass didn't get called back for a holding penalty, we win the over. How do you predict that? It was there. The Detroit scored on the play, and it's called back for holding. If Detroit kicks the field goal at the end, as they should have, Green Bay drives down and we go to overtime. It's a winner. So it's close to a winner, but it didn't win. But you can't. That's why you lose a few games. It just things out of the ordinary happen, and off you go. Anyway, so what else can we talk about? So gold and silver, it's soon. It's real soon. Again, we can't put the exact date. Again, JP Morgan. Now, BlackRock is not a bank. They don't technically own any gold. They do own stuff in gold miner stocks, but they're going to get killed because all the stocks are going to drop when the stocks hit the fan. You can see the BlackRock stocks have done well because they're in bed with Powell. So Powell prints money, gives it to BlackRock. They put it in Amazon or Tesla, or whatever the fuck they put it in. And those are the stocks that go up, but they don't own it. I keep saying, does BlackRock own Walmart? No, they own percentage. They own stock in it, but that doesn't mean they own the companies. So they have a lot of stock in these. They're basically a business, what do you call it? An investment bank. So they own stock. I don't know why anybody trusts them. This is like, you think you got fucked by Madoff and you're going to trust BlackRock? Good luck there. I would not be in bed with BlackRock or guys like me. This is why I'm in gold and silver. I don't have to trust anybody. I'm smart enough to realize the only one I want to trust is the professor. That's it. I trust myself. I'm smart enough to realize if I'm in gold and silver, I can't lose. I'm going to make a ton. It's a matter of when. I know it's been a while, but I know what the reason is, that it's been JP Morgan keeping it down because they want the monopoly on the dollar. But as everybody's getting out of the dollar, there goes your monopoly. So now that's fucked. So now gold, China, Russia, and all the people with gold want the price to go up. So now it's going to go up because JP Morgan, who also owns a lot of gold, really, what's he going to do with the money that's becoming worthless? So when I hear when I hear Buffett has $2 billion in cash, like it's a good thing, I laugh because it's I'm going to zero. I don't want to own cash. I want to own gold and silver. Then I can take my gold and silver and trade it in. And don't worry, it won't be priced in dollars. It'll be priced in gold and silver, which is even better because you can't fucking inflate it. So that's who you want to trust, is yourself. That's why I teach you how to pick football games so you can make your own picks, and then you can bitch at yourself if you lose. And then I'm here to guide you. I mean, and that's really the point. So the point is, here's who I like. Here's how I got to it. You take that. So you rely on yourself, and then, but you're really not sure yet. You don't have it. You're not confident. So you still come to me. You still buy my picks. You're buying my picks to get confidence. Who did the professor play? He played TCU over. Okay, now I'm going to make a big bet because I liked it over. He likes it over. If we're on the same page, we like it. But the guy who took TCU, come to the professor and I say, no, I like the over in the game. That's your bet. Now, maybe he gets off of his bet. Maybe he plays it smaller, or maybe I get him on the over. That's the whole point. That's why you buy the picks. Sort of like a financial planner. What stocks do you recommend? And then you go with them. But with gold and silver, I'm the recommendation. I'm saying to take it. Like a lot of people are hesitant, and those people I try to help, but they don't want to listen. So there's nothing you're asking my advice, guy, as an economist, buy your gold and silver. That's all I can say. And if they don't want to listen to it because they don't get it, or I can't explain it to them and they can't ask the question, I have no incentive. It's not like I have gold that I'm selling that I want to get rid of and it's really not worth it. I'm Madoff. It's not like you're giving me money and, you're buying it yourself. I'm just advising. Except for the guy at the casino the other night, he didn't listen to the professor, so he told him, fuck you, and got up and walked away. Well, the reason, part of it is because I bet on TCU against Michigan, and everybody there is betting Michigan, and TCU scores, and I'm going, all right, TCU. And so people are probably getting mad because I had the smart bet and they didn't. They all lost with Michigan. I won with TCU. But they're not open-minded. I'm just having simple conversation like nice call or good hand, and I'm not getting a response. I don't need to get pissed off. I don't need to sit there. I don't need to play poker, so I get up and leave because of that. And that's, there's nothing you can do when you ask a question and the guy doesn't answer, then why get frustrated? That goes back to our psychology. Why get frustrated about it? Why be with a girl if she pisses you off? Or why work at a job that frustrates you? You just get up and leave. It isn't worth it. That's why you build your skill set. So in Bobby's case, he leaves the Tigers for San Diego Padres because, I like San Diego. And I don't like the manager at Detroit. But I heard the San Diego manager is good. So he moves teams, but his basis is his skill set. He can hit 300. He's a clutch 4 hitter. He's a good defensive player. So people want his skill set, much like Lamar Jackson. He sucks, but he'll go to another team because people, they like seeing him hurt his knee. Like they still haven't figured out he's not that good, which is amazing to me. But that's what you do, Bobby. So in other words, so the guy who didn't listen to me yesterday and says, I'm taking TCU, not the over, you just basically tell him, like, go fuck yourself, but you don't want to get frustrated with it. So you just, okay, fine, do what you want. I don't care. Hey, Nick. All there is to say today is W. Well, see, Nick listens. He had TCU over in a big lock, and he won it. Yeah, I went through the playoffs. I can go through them again, Nick. So Niners 10, 42.5. San Diego 1.5, 47.5. Buffalo 10.5, 44.5. Mini 3, 48.5. Cincy 6.5, 43.5. And Dallas 2.5. Somehow they're favored, 45.5. So we like the Niners. We like San Diego and the over. Buffalo. We like the over in the Minnesota game because both teams suck. We love Cincinnati and we love Tampa Bay. So Nick's an example of a guy who kind of heard me, didn't know what to do with me, had his own, I'm going to use my mathematical skills. I'm talking about psychology here, Nick. So he doesn't know what to do. And then he starts listening and we start winning. And then he figures out and understands what my methods are, and that to be successful, he should listen to my picks as he's trying to figure out how to make picks on his own. And now he's just said, screw it. I know the professor knows what he's doing, and I'm making money off the professor, as he's just said. I knew Georgia would be a blowout because line didn't move. 70% of tickets were not TCU, and line barely moved. The line at the end moved from 12.5 back to 13.5, and from 72.5 down to 71.5. So the people bet on the under for some reason yesterday, which made no sense to me. And it went from 14 to 12.5. So those were TCU tickets. Georgia tickets, for no reason, when I would not have laid 13.5 with Georgia. I thought they would win, but I basically loved the over. And when it went from 62 to 62, I thought it'd go to 65. I really was shocked. I saw 61.5. Who the fuck's betting this game under? You got to be out of your mind. Those are people that don't know what they're doing. Those are people that are math people that go, well, let's see, the standard deviation should be, it'll be a 61-point game. It's at 62. I'm going to go under. This is how the morons are betting, and that's why I tell you don't listen to them, because they might have convinced you to go under on a game that was so over it was ridiculous. So anyway, that's kind of the morons that are betting, and I've tried to tell you to avoid those people. That's why you make up your own picks. So what Nick's done is figured out, yeah, okay, he's learning, but he's going, okay, he knows who the professor is now. But he very rarely is going to go off on a tangent and take a pick that I'm not, so if I give Seattle, he's not going to take the Rams. He'll take Seattle, or he won't play it, or maybe he goes over under with it, but he's certainly not going to go against me. He just might not play me, but he's looking at the games but that's what you do. He's open-minded. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. So that's a example of what you should be, is what Nick is. He's like, fuck, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to listen and learn. Not the other guy who said, I'm taking TCU yesterday. I won't listen to the over and I'm going to lose. I know more than you do. And that's really what I'm trying to explain, is you don't know more or less than other people, but you got to listen to them and understand them and then figure out where you stand with them. So, Bobby asked me about gold and silver, and I explained it to him. Now Bobby understands it, and now he goes and buys it. So does Nick. So does a lot of people here go buy the silver because they get it. They understand why you're supposed to buy it, and it makes sense to them. So I've taught them what it is that you could do that will benefit you. So again, I'm not gaining anything out of it. I'm teaching and giving them, and they're getting benefit. The guy at work bought $100,000 check-in and bought 55 ounces of gold before I left there. So he got me. He understood this is protection, and soon he's going to be a multimillionaire. And I'm expecting a candy bar or something from him as a thank you. But that's what you do. You listen. We don't know everything, but we have people that know in our areas that we need to learn. And you've got to at least hear the person out and see if it makes sense and ask the questions. Bobby and Nick asked me a lot of questions. Now they get it. And they go, yeah, okay, now I get him. Now I know he knows what he's talking about. That's why I teach the class, but you've got to be open-minded in the class to get what I'm saying is to help you, not to hurt you. And it's not like I don't know. You should know. Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. I don't benefit except for you guys. When Bobby makes money and Nick makes money on the football and on gold and silver, and when they come back and it's 2,000 an ounce silver, that's the benefit. That's what I did. That's how I benefit. Is I made them money. That's the benefit I get, is I taught it and these guys listened and these guys made money. And the fuckers at poker in the hot tub who don't listen, fuck you. You could have also done what Bobby and Nick did, but you don't. You're closed-minded. And really that's the course today, is trying to stay open-minded and trying to learn, but you can't trust a Madoff, right? If they don't give you the answer and they yell at you and saying you're an idiot and they don't help you understand and teach you, they don't know what they're doing. So now I'm trying to say to you, how do you know who to listen to, right? That's a big thing. You listen to somebody who's very open and very, not necessarily, of course, honest, but very open and can explain it. If the person can explain it so you understand it, you want to listen to that guy. Maybe you learn, maybe you don't. But if you went to Madoff and he says, I can't tell you how I make the money, just shut up and I'm going to yell at you and you'll make money, you run away. So so you need to trust a professor type of person and not a Madoff, these Rickards, these communist economists, the Warren Buffetts. You can't trust guys who don't talk clear English and talk at these high words that don't mean anything are the guys you run away from. So when you meet people like me who are very giving and trying to explain, if you don't get it and you ask, and I, again, try to explain it, those are the people you want to listen to. Now, I know I am extremely rare, and you're very lucky that you found me, because I am what you want to listen to, my type. But good luck finding my type. I'm probably 1 in 100,000. So you're real lucky. But anyway, I've seen the Madoff types. And then what happens? You lose all your money and you cry, oh, he took my money. No, you lost your money because you listened to this idiot. It's all up to you. Bobby and Nick will make money because they listened, and then they're going to go, wow, professor made me all this money in gold and silver. Okay, you listen to me. I didn't cost you, but I made you the money. So in a Madoff issue, they're all crying, he stole my money. No, you listen to him. You're responsible for your money. You're responsible for following him. Shame on you for listening to some idiot who didn't explain his whole system or his whole style. And then good that you listened to the professor who explained it down to the nth, and I bought it and I made money. And that's what I'm trying to teach today is who do I trust? And I usually have this with girls a lot, where I'll approach a girl and I'll talk to her, and I'm at such a high level that they're scared. Oh, I got a boyfriend. And I laugh at them like, you're not even giving me a chance. Why don't you give me a chance? I'm probably 100 times better than your boyfriend. I like you, but you're not giving me the time of day. So good luck with you. You're trusting Madoff. That's what I get mostly with women. They're too stupid to get that point of, wait a minute, this guy, I need to talk to this guy and get to know him better. They don't get that. It's way over their head when I start, because I'll talk to them. I'm not giving them a line, and I'm talking to them like, do you own gold and silver? And that immediately should trigger their mind. There's one girl, she's a lifeguard. She's from Ohio. She's an Ohio State fan. So I talked to her and I says, that's a tough game you had to Georgia if only you had a field goal kicker. But we get along a little bit. She at least gets me, and we talk foot, so we have that common denominator. But most girls are idiots. They just miss the point. They take a guy because he's got money or his looks, or I always tease guys in the locker room. I go, some guy will be looking at himself in the mirror, and I go, chicks don't care about that. All they care about is money. So you can do all the, lift weights and have a good shape, but if you don't have money, they don't really care. They don't really care about the shape. They care about the money. Can you take care of them? And that's really the key to women. But I don't stress my money. That's why I talk gold and silver to them, so they can protect themselves. But the real smart women get me, and they are happy to know me. The younger ones tend to be idiots, and they're all going to end up in bad shape. I mean, that's all I can say. My Ukrainian one gets me. My Russian one gets me. My Ukrainian one got the flu again. She's all depressed. Oh, I'm sweating again. I got the flu. Da, 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 da. When are we meeting again? I want you and all that. And so she gets me exactly, and she knows I give her some gold and silver. She's happy, but she gets that I help her and give her gold and silver. So she gets all that. So that's rare. But that's the Russian women are very smart women. Don't forget that. So true, I've learned not to hang my wallet out. I don't get it, Nick. Hang your wallet out? Not to hang my wallet out. Anyway, not sure where Nick's at, but rephrase it, Nick, so I get it too. I want to laugh too. Show women I have money. Oh, okay. Well, that's a little bit different than hanging your wallet out. Women want. My Russian girl says, I'm safe with you. I feel comfortable with you. And I'm kind and loving to them. But most women want the money is the problem. And so the guy treats them for a nice dinner and this and that. And the girl, she doesn't really care about the guy. She just cares about the money. And that's the problem with most women. And they don't. That's why they do all the sex jobs, because it pays them more. So they could be a waitress at a Denny's, or they could do porn, and they do porn because it pays more. Even though it's like so degrading, they don't care. They're like, well, I'm hot. I can make more money doing this. And they just totally don't get it at all. For a second, I thought Nick started drinking early. Yeah, I mean, did you not? I didn't get it either, Bobby. I mean, I need to hang my wallet out. No, they know you got a wallet, Nick. What you'll be doing is you'll be handing out like a silver ounce. You'll see this nice girl that you really like. She seems normal. You give her an ounce of silver. That's how you get them. You don't need the wallet. Then she'll be interested in. I've never had a girl I gave an ounce of silver to not like me, right? They get that. But yeah, women are they don't think very well. They're not very smart. Laugh hour late, slightly hungover from celebrating the win last night. Yeah, well, that's fine, Nick. It's 2:30. You were up late. But that's what it's all psychology. Women need to feel safe, and they feel safe with money. They want a guy who can take care of them. Oh, good. I feel safe with you. You're going to take care of me. They don't care about your looks. Most of them love sex after they get to know you, and, you've got to be fairly good at it. But it's basically It's a safety issue. Or they'll get hurt. Oh, he cheated on me. Well, why did he cheat on you? You obviously didn't satisfy him, or he would have been with you. Or you're like me, where you want more than one girl anyway, so it doesn't matter. But you want a girl who likes that anyway. But that's where it's at. It's just simply the girl is very insecure, and they don't know what they want because they don't know how to think like us. We think very different than women. At least from what I can decipher. So when they get scared, you talk to them, they get scared. Oh, I have a boyfriend as a defense mechanism, or I don't want to hurt you. So I told you I had a boyfriend, or I do have a boyfriend, and I don't want to hurt you. I love that line. So I'm going to lie to you, like that won't hurt you, where I'll just say I have a boyfriend because I don't want to date you. Okay, don't date me. It's your loss, not mine. If a girl says no to me, I just laugh at them and go, okay, you just turned down the professor. Good luck finding somebody better than me. Go have your miserable life. And that's what tends to happen because girls aren't smart enough to shop, right? So if we go to the store, we look at all the meat, right? We look at steaks and ribs and pig's ears and chicken, and we buy the best one. Girls will do that with clothes. They'll shop to death and look at 20 different shirts, but they don't do it with men. They just see one guy, and then once they're with them, they're not smart enough to look at the other guys and go, oh wait, that's he's let me get to know him, and let me get to know him. No, they get stuck in a relationship where they think they are slaves to the one guy, and maybe he has money, maybe he doesn't, maybe he's nice to him. I don't know. I have no idea a woman's brain, why they're that stupid to just stay with one guy, and then the guy cheats on them, which all of us are going to cheat on the girl, and then now they're looking for another guy when they could have looked at 10 guys at the same time going, I don't want to be with the guy I'm with. I want to go be with somebody else. He gives me a lot more. He's nice. He's got money, and he's more what I like. And girls are too stupid to do that. They'll have the one guy, and then they'll be like, oh, I got a boyfriend. And it's just a disaster. And that's why most of them end in divorce, because they get married for the security, not for the love, or not because it's a nice fit with the guy. And that's what I try to, explain is play the field and then meet 20 girls. And then you take the best one out of the 20, as if we're picking football games. I look at all the games, there's 6 games, and then I'm going to bet the most. And I lock the one that's the best game to play. That's what I do. And that's what you should do in everything in life: food, money, investments, girls. It's all the same. Look at everything, make your decisions, and then go with it. So unfortunately, most people aren't at that level and can't do that. And women are the worst at it. So don't let the woman control you. You control her. And not that you control her, but just be nice to her and try to teach her. And if she's too stupid, then just move on and not be bothered by it. Just like if we lose a game, we lost the game. Okay, next game. So that's basically life, right? It's just, what job do you want? And not getting stuck. Oh, I'm with this girl, I won't leave her for another. Or she's with you, she won't leave you with another. Or I'm at this job, I don't want to leave it because I'm making money. That, I think, is the whole scope of everything, right? I'm at a job making $75,000. I can't leave the job. I need the $75,000, thinking I can't get another job that maybe pays me $80,000. And people are scared. I was watching this movie, Up in the Air, with George Clooney and the skinny girl. And it's funny. I watched it the first time, I like it. By the third time, I don't like it. It's stupid, right? George Clooney is alone. He'd rather be flying. He's trying to get 10 million miles instead of $10 million. And he keeps flying American for the perks to get his his miles up. That's the movie. But he fires people because the bosses are too wimpy to fire their own employees. Never heard of that one before. Anyway, so that's kind of the bulk of the movie. And then at the end, I don't know. It's the more I watch it, the stupider it gets. Like most movies, you watch it, it's cute, and then you start watching it again. You look at the details, and there's this other movie, Copenhagen, and this guy's in the movie. And I go, why is he even in the movie? He doesn't add any value. But I mean, that's what you notice. So again, the people start crying because George Clooney fires them. He says, "You're done. Here's your packet." They're giving you 2-3 months severance, and the guys are all crying. What am I going to do now? And my response is, you've got your skill set. Go get another fucking job. Hello, there's other companies needing your skill set unless you have a shit skill set, like a government employee who has no skill set and they make money. But if you're working at a job and they lay you off, fuck it. My resume, I got a master's in finance and 20 years corporate finance at GM, Ford, and Mercedes. Fuck you, I'll get another job. It might take a little bit of time. Now we got this economy, but I'm smart enough to have bought gold and silver as my insurance that soon it goes up, I won't need to work again. But that was because I was smart enough to understand buying gold and silver. So these people are all crying about losing their job, but if you have the skill set, people are looking for that, you'll get a new job. And they're never showing that part of the equation. Just, oh my God, how do I pay rent? Well, don't you have fucking savings? The Spider-Man guy's in it, the newspaper guy, Jonah Jameson. And he's like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to, my daughter's got asthma. How am I going to, so you've been here 20 years and you never saved money? Are you a fucking idiot? You don't have a 401k. You didn't buy gold or silver. You don't have any money. So you're just like, okay, I lost my job. I don't have any money. I don't have any income. I don't have any savings. This is what you're telling me? So these guys have bigger problems than losing their job. They're all fucking morons. And that's what happens when they fire these people. None of them seem to have a savings or paid off a house or car, have any type of investment, and have no skill set to apparently get a new job. And that's the problem I have with these movies, like Margin Call, like, Smooth Jimmy Apollo in the gambling movie. Margin Call, everybody's crying. They lost their job. These are fucking Wall Street people. Go get another job at Wall Street. Hello? Oh, I made 250 grand last year. Okay, so you don't have any savings? You're not smart enough to have savings. And you work on Wall Street. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, okay. What a bunch of morons. If you're paying me 500 grand, I got a whole lot in savings. I guarantee you I'm never working again. So it's just amazing how stupid the movies make these people look, that they don't have the concept of building a skill set. Getting a new job is never a thought. They're just crying they lost their job. Give me a fucking break. This is the problem I have with it. You got skill set. I've got a master's. People want that. They will hire me. They always have hired me. But if you don't like your job, the point is fucking quit or get it. Or the best thing is to look for a new job while you're at the job. They'll say, why are you leaving? And you'll just say, well, I don't like it. It's not my cup of tea. I'm looking for something more like Mercedes or something. And people don't care. All they care about, I got the Mercedes job because my manager said, why should I hire you? I said, because of my skill set. I can do Excel, I can do S-Base, I can budget, I can forecast, I got an economic background. She was like, oh, perfect. Okay, that's what we need. What they want is that you can come in and do the job. That's the whole point. That's the point of the interview. Don't fuck around with everything else. Can you do the job? And you answer yes. Look at me. Look at my history. I did it at GM. I did it at Ford. Wherever you did it. What you're saying is yes. If you hire me, I can come in and do the job. I have the skill set. So if I applied for a handicapper job, Why should I hire you? Because I go 70% picking football games, or 75. And I can take that to your job, because your job is based on handicapping in some way or doing a budget or whatever. So you bring that into the equation and people want to hire you because you can do it. All right. So I think that's about it. Any questions, comments, anything you want to know? The psychology, I think we learned a lot, is basically people need to be open-minded, but you need to know who you can trust. You can't trust the Madoff, but you can trust a professor. Meaning, if you're open and honest and you can explain, those are people you can learn from, so you trust them. If the guy talks and yells at you or can't explain what they do, those are the guys you run away from. So you got to be that. I notice that with women a lot. They don't have the open mind. Oh, I have a boyfriend, so they don't keep the mind open to give you a chance to go, oh, fuck, this guy's 10 times better than my boyfriend. And that's what I always think when I talk to a girl anyway, that give me a chance. Okay, don't stay with your boyfriend. Good luck. Then I usually laugh at them and walk away. So I'm not going to take bullshit from idiots, and I don't do it at poker. I don't do it here, and I certainly don't do it with women. So keep that in mind. The women want smart people that they're safe with, and they're comfortable with, and that's it. They do like smart people usually, because obviously they have a better chance to make more money, but they all want to be taken care of, and it's always about money, not about looks. Looks helps, but it's about safety and security and money. That's what it is. Anyway, so we'll dig more into the pros tomorrow, probably more tomorrow, Thursday. I got to update my little trends, and we'll take a look. We went through the injuries. There's really not a lot. The only two teams I've really blanked out are the Giants and Dallas, basically for giving up and not trying on Sunday. You can't quit. First of all, you're quitters. It's like the guys who sit out the bowl games. They're all quitters. I wouldn't draft any of them. Same thing here. The Giants and Dallas didn't try, didn't play. Fuck them. And if Dallas played against Washington and lost 26-6, and they say they tried, then for sure they're not going to beat Tampa. The Giants, Minnesota at least played against the Bears and won. The Giants, that's pathetic. To not even try against Philly, and they could have beat them. And the really amazing thing is, if the Giants get another touchdown and win, and Dallas laid down and could have had the 1 seed and won their division, and they lost and they blew it. Oh, I would have loved to see that. That would have been wonderful. So Dallas just knew that the Giants weren't going to win, and they only lost by 6. Dallas ain't winning anything. Again, they have the worst coach in the league. They have a terrible quarterback, Prescott. Too many interceptions. They're much better with Cooper Rush. And until they get rid of Prescott, they'll never win anything. He's like Tony Romo, and the fact Tony Romo choked in every playoff game. Same thing with Prescott. He can't read a defense either. So that's what we got going. So hope the psychology, and again, I'm not a psychologist professionally, but, just conceptual, from what I've learned, just be open-minded with it. But of course, intercede, just kind of watch what I said and go, yeah, that makes sense. Or maybe it doesn't make sense. Anyway, buy your gold and silver. I don't know how much longer we have, but if you don't buy it and it goes up, you're going to really be pissed because you can't get it anymore. So once gold hits 20,000 an ounce or 30,000, now what are you going to do? And once silver hits 1,000 an ounce and you could have had it at 28, now what are you going to do? And if you don't think it'll go up, you got the BRICS countries going, yeah, it is, because we're backing our dollar by it, because we don't want to have dollars not backed by gold, because we know what happens to them. They get fucked over. And believe me, the Russians and the Chinese don't trust each other, or the Indians. So They have to have $1 backed by gold, and that's their plan. So watch the U.S. dollar collapse, and then the new dollar will float out, and watch the value drop. And hopefully the new U.S. dollar is backed by gold. That's all we can say. Anything else? Questions, comments, please ask while I'm here. That's why I do a live show, to hopefully clear things up or answer questions. All right. Have a nice day. www.teaserking.com if you want this. I'll do the whole playoffs for $100. Just buy the week of pros. You get this week, the next week, the third week, and the Super Bowl. So you get 4 weeks of plays for $100. Can't beat that. Again, what I'm telling you here is my opinions, but they're not necessarily, my lock yesterday was TCU Georgia over. It was also my free pick, but not every free pick's a lock. And you got to know it's a lock so you can bet accordingly. Nick made a lot of money on it, but if you just played it as a regular game instead of a lock, you didn't make as much on it. So you need to know that. All right, www.teaserking.com. Again, $100 for the rest of the NFL playoffs. We had Georgia TCU over, which was an easy over. And I've gone through the 6 playoff games, and I'll go through them again. I don't know about tomorrow. We'll probably do economics. It's Wednesday, but definitely Thursday. We'll touch on it on the NFL playoffs. All right, everybody, have a great day. I hope you're safe and well and healthy, and off we go. All right, you take care, everybody. Bye-bye.